I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. Got my head spinning, no kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what it means, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you, oh you. How many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're crying, you're beautiful too. The world keeps beating you down, I'm around through every move. You're my downfall, you're my muse, my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. Can't stop singing, it's ringing in my head for you. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, oh me, and you give me all of you, oh you. Cards on the table with both showing hearts, risky it although it's hard, 'cause all of me love all of you. Love your curves and all edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, oh me, and you give me all of you, oh you.
Well, welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's face it, you're not here to listen to my glorious voice, are you? You're only here to listen to one man. Well, let me tell you, he's not coming. He's cancelled. Only joking. All right, Raj, how's it going?
Big up, Manny. Big up to everyone. Oh, God, there's so many people in the chat I want to say hello to. But if I say hello to one, then the rest are going to be felt left out. So what can I do? All I can do is do a greeting to everybody. And, thank you for turning up. trying times, and I feel like I have a few things I need to say in it. Because
Okay.
I am retired.
Before we get into it, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you back on the Manny Sinder Live channel. We kind of, took Speaker's Corner and brought it to the internet, to YouTube via this channel originally. So this is kind of, is a bit of an honor to have you back on. And let's face it, no one's quite achieved what you achieved at Speaker's Corner, because you were attacked in more ways than one, because they couldn't defeat you on an academic level.
Even today, I'm being attacked, being called a pigeon. And you know what? I love it, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shit on your head like a pigeon does. The pigeon is the most deadliest animal because it doesn't give a shit. And the blue is white. The blue is white. So, it's just
would you say that you turned more straight Muslims gay than anybody on the planet? Because the obsessive nature of a lot of these Muslim gentlemen that had towards you at Speaker's Corner it can't be described anything but a love affair.
Well, the thing is, I think I turned gays more gay. They were gay already. They loved it up what we call the bund, which is fine. I've got no bund means ass. And all it was is that, I just made them more gay, innit? Because once they saw that fat, round Sikh who lost weight at some points and looked like a pigeon, it showed their bestiality as well. Because remember, Waspik used to run around like, he was about to, he'd not seen KFC for like 50 years and just saw me and wanted to all gobble me up in more ways than one. So, yeah, crazy, man. Yeah, I'll show myself for a second, just so everyone knows it is me. Let me just show, because here it is. I'm here. Yes.
Is that no? That's not you. That's another.
That's
That's
me.
AI.
That's
AI.
It's AI, and no one knows now. But I have to just put on the camera and just say, "Yeah, it's me." In it. I'm not going to put the camera on for too long because I can't stand looking at myself. I've put on a bit of weight, so I have to lose a bit of weight and stuff in it. But I do want to say, so on a serious note, I am making a kind of like a. The reason I've come out of retirement is obviously because things are. Pretty serious, as much as I like to have a good laugh, and we can have a good laugh, but things are pretty serious. I'll be kind of wanting to speak about this, but everyone I'm around now are like artists, and you know what artists are like? I can't have a conversation with them, innit? This is very difficult apart from art. So,
they're all a bit wet, aren't they? Let's face it.
No, they're not. It's just that as soon as I start trying to bring up a touchy subject, they all get a little bit bent out of shape, innit? And so it's very hard to have these conversations when you're looking at a painting of a woman's, and you're then starting to talk about what's happening in the UK. So, obviously I said, I'm going to come back on one show, and it's going to be your show. Now, the thing is, this is actually really kind of like the reason why I'm not going to be a regular back. I will try and come back once in a while. I've had a lot of, I'm going to say it, it's been quite a while now, but I think I'm strong enough to say it now. But I've had a lot of bad news. My sister passed away, who, was like a second mum to me.
Sorry to hear that, mate. Very sorry to hear that.
And also my mum's ill as well, innit? So I can't be doing this, on a regular basis. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional because it was my other sister's birthday yesterday, and, it was kind of reminded me of the fact that she's gone and stuff. So I basically am not going to be coming back regularly. Obviously, like my mum as well, she's ill and losing a daughter, and then her being unwell. She's got arthritis now, so I'm just not mentally in that space to be kind of doing this kind of stuff regularly, right? Like before, I was very mentally strong, right? So I have to think about myself and my family. But I did come out of retirement today. Because I think what's happening now around the UK is very serious. I think people don't realize how serious, and the reason I get thank you everyone, I'm very emotional about her when I talk about it, because she was like a second mum to me as well. So it wasn't just like a sister. She brought me up as I was growing up, and she was only 53. So I have to kind of think about myself, and my mum's priority now. So before, when I used to do the streams and stuff, my mum was quite well, and so I didn't really have to worry about her too much. Now I've got like a ringer in my room, so if you hear a little ringer, it's not the doorbell. It's that my mum needs something, and it's something I have to go. So I have to put everything first. But this situation is so serious that I've had to go. Okay, I need to. There's some once in a while you need to kind of go. Okay, I have to come out of retirement for a bit. So on this particular topic, I might come on again if I don't feel like I've kind of covered everything, and maybe we can have more of an open panel with a couple of more people. But family does come first. Thanks everybody for the kind words. So I mean, how do you want to start this though? Because it's such a mess. It's something that I personally knew was going to happen. I just didn't realize it was going to happen so soon. All this kind of rioting and this kind of like what you call kind of like really disgusting situation that we're seeing, man. I mean, what's your kind of thoughts on it? Because I haven't really listened to the shows and stuff properly.
Okay, well, look, there's no point me inputting my viewpoint, because the the people who are listening or are going to be listening at a certain time, they get my personal gist or my standpoint generally anyway.
Okay.
I think we don't have you for a very long time today. I think we should really kind of track down what your thoughts on what you are, because what people don't realize and why you being here and doing this show is so important, that you predicted this.
I predicted it.
And you kind of said it in very, in a lot of detail. So it's very relevant. It's just a shame that you couldn't come on as soon as the riots broke. But I suppose,
the reason I didn't, I mean, I could have. I kind of wanted to see how everything goes and how the government handles it, so I can have a better understanding of like what's going on. Jupiter, I think we will do a open panel. I'm not sure about today. Maybe if we've got time, because I've got to leave at 9:30. But definitely, if I'm going to do a panel, I do want it to be closed, but I'd have Jupiter on there, and we can have a good old chat in it about everything goes. So I might do this in a two-parter. Then do this, and then if we haven't got time, then the next time, because if we open the panel up, we're going to be talking for ages, and I've got to go at 9:30. So I mean, I did predict this before. I remember saying. And the reason I predicted, because I went to LA twice, right? I went in 2016 and 2017. And the reason I mention this is because when I went to LA, it really opened my eyes up about how Americans see themselves, right? And so when I went back to the UK, it kind of like put into stark contrast that, when you go to the States, right, there's a lot of things I don't like about it, as people know. But there was one thing that really shocked me, was the fact that when you walked about, everyone was American. They were African American, they were Chinese American, they were Latin American, you name it, Asian American. But I didn't ever get the sense that people hated the country. They may have disliked the government, and they may have hated the past. So for example, obviously the African Americans are going to hate what happened to their people when they got brought over, but they're still African American, isn't it? And one thing that happened was I was walking. Obviously, I went to Orange County. Yes, he was a millionaire that flew me out. And so this may not be the most kind of like what I call kind of the most the best example, because I didn't go to the poorer areas. But when I was walking around, I just remember seeing American flags everywhere, right? And when I walked, I thought, okay, maybe they're just white Americans. But when they were popping out the gardens, or the front mowing the lawn, or when I saw them, they were every shade of color. Apart from green, obviously. Otherwise, that would be a bit of a problem. But they were like, you'd have every single person, like with nearly probably 80% of the houses with American flags on there. And this is the difference between the UK and America. And I think. So when I come back, I started realizing that the UK is very fractured in terms of, like people don't see themselves as British. And I know people go, oh, right, you're not British, you're browner than a freaking chocolate chip cookie. Listen here, I'm British nationality. I'm Punjabi by race, because obviously I'm not British by race, and I'm Sikh by religion, right? And so unless you have that, what I call the thread of being British, you're not going to have no unity. Like the Americans, like Manny, when you go to the States, doesn't matter which color they are, whatever they are, they're still American, right? And that's what unites them. right? They may disagree on a lot of things, but they're united. And the UK has not got that. And until it does, things are going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. Going to get a lot worse. I think this is just the beginning of let's just say the beginning of the storm, innit? And it's going to last a long time until people start waking up.
All right, so let's take it from the top. So in regards to this rioting, is it as simple as the British people have an issue with the Muslim community and vice versa, or is there something more at play here? I.e., is there an agenda being put through the controls of the likes of the British government that are encouraging the riots and the one-sidedness? What's your view on what the situation is?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew something like this would happen. I just didn't know when. And the reason being is because people are living parallel lives in the same country with, I mean, look, I'm not saying that you should come here and you should just completely give up your identity. Like, I'm a Sikh, innit? If you see me, I'm a Sikh. I've got my turban on and so, but I don't live a totally parallel life to, say, a white British person. So I still have things in common when I meet people, innit? Now, if I was okay, I'm just a Punjabi Sikh and I don't care about anything else, I won't have nothing in common with other people, because your identity. And so this is the problem, right? We have to get to a point where people start to understand that, like, if you do not feel like this is your country and that you don't want the best for the UK, then I'm sorry, it's just going to go tits up in it. Because I can condemn the past of the UK, like an African American condemn the past of slavery, right? But they're still American and they still want the best for the country moving forward. And this is what people in the UK need to kind of like understand. You can condemn the past, right? I can condemn what happened to India. The place where I'm from, Punjab, was split in half by the British, and it's caused a lot of mess even till today. But it doesn't mean I hate the UK now and I want to damage the UK going forwards. It's the way because people like Respect and other people, I always feel like they wanted to punish the UK, innit? They wanted to punish the people for the sins of their fathers or whatever.
Yeah.
And what I always said to them is, it's like you're on a ship, right? We're all on a ship, and that ship has all these obstacles in a way, like the Titanic has like the ice and whatever. And what you're doing, you got people in the ship sabotaging the ship, right? And so what they're doing, what they don't realize is that their families in that ship as well. So when they sabotage the ship, you're actually sabotaging your own people as well, your own family. So it doesn't make sense. You can say, this was wrong in the past, that was wrong in the past. We can say that, but if you're there to then kind of like destabilize the UK moving forward, then I'm sorry, those type of people, if they're not, let's say they've got dual citizen, they just need to go in it, in my opinion. That sounds very harsh, but I think there's a lot of rotten apples.
Going back on the Respect and that group's outlook, they've got a victim mentality. They can't break away. They can't break away from that, and it always comes back to what's owed to them. It's not a case of let's change a negative into a positive. Because I always draw the parallel with individuals like that with Indians. The Indian had the British Raj, the East India Company, do what they did in India. But you see, British Indians, or even Indians in India generally, they don't really regard themselves as prisoners of the past, and they come forward and they blame the very establishment that sold India out, the very establishment that made agreements to the corrupt East India Company, and so on and so forth. In other words, Indians from that region, and even now, don't have a victim mentality, whereas people like Respect unfortunately does, and they can't break away from it. And it has to do with the fact that he probably feels that he's not achieving enough in life.
The thing is, the best way to kind of give two fingers up to somebody that screwed you in the past is to do good in it. Like, to be successful. Like, that's the thing that really hurts people. And this is why people don't like Jewish people, I think, because they've gone through so much. But what they do, they're still successful in it. They're still successful. They're actually one of the most successful groups, right? Now, the thing is, I do want to say that people that were burning these kind of the migrant kind of facilities and stuff, those people are pure evil. And I'm going to say that straight. I don't care what anyone says. You going into a place, even if you disagree with migrants, burning the place could have killed someone. People like just attacking random. I've seen a video of like don't know if it was a black guy or an Asian guy just walking on a road, and there's a group of white people and they just punched him in the face and they're all laughing. Those people need to be put into prison, innit? You can't deport them because they're actually so. The way I've always seen it is that because I've said, somebody asked me before quite a long time ago, how much of the Tommy Robinson kind of like the whole kind of movement do you think is racist, right, or outright racist? I said years ago, I think around 15%, and I still agree with that. But that 85% are not racist people. What they are, they're very, very disgruntled, very, very fed up. Is there racist people within that movement? Damn right there is. Yeah, and some of them, probably around 5%, are dangerously racist. Like you're talking about, like far, 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 far right. So the government classifying everyone as far right it's gonna backfire on them, in my opinion. Because if you keep on calling people far right, what do you think is gonna happen? We might as well join. We might as well be far right then, innit? Because you're not giving them no outlook. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, so the thing is that I'm not going to come to anywhere where I can't control the situation because it's just not worth my time. Yeah, so the government's kind of putting themselves in a situation where they just, what they're basically is doing is put a plaster on a wound, right? That wound has not been healed, and it's gonna explode again, because what you've got now is like and I know me and you differ on the causes of all the situation that's happened with COVID and the inflation and cost of living crisis, and we differ about how that might have come about, whether it is intentional, but we do agree it's there. And the cost of living, look, when people are poor and they can't pay their bill and they can't eat because of inflation, and then you see other people that have come over who are illegally here living in a flat, they're obviously, from the reality is they're not having a good time either, these guys that are in the migrant centers. But from somebody that's like, very, very kind of like, struggling really hard, they're going to get pissed. They're going to get pissed. I've been in situations where, when things have gone up so high in price, I have to see what I have to buy now, innit? And everybody's struggling. So when you then see, you feel like money's being wasted on people that are coming here illegally, people are going to get angry. Do I agree that people then start burning and protesting and trashing the place? No, that's not the way to do it. But people do have legitimate concerns, right? And to just label everyone far right, that means I'm far right as well, then, innit? Because I have concerns about illegal immigration, who's coming in, and I don't know who the person's coming, whether they're mentally stable or they're unstable, what reasons they come here for. So there's no issue with saying that there's a problem with migration. It's just, how do you now kind of deal with it? Yeah, what's the way to do it humanely? Because we can't become monsters in order to resolve an issue. In it, you might as well just give up your humanity. Then, if you start to go, okay, we're going to do violence or we're going to burn a migrant, well, you might as well just become a demon then, innit? And just like leave all your morals behind. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, it's complicated though, isn't it, man? It's very complicated.
Would you want a situation to occur where illegal immigrants are returned back to their home country?
Yeah, look, people need to kind of also understand that it's a complicated thing. Some people are so desperate that they don't see any other way apart from coming to another place, right? Now, but you have to also be sensible. Like, this country cannot take unlimited, unvetted immigrants. It just cannot. It's just stupid. Like, anyone saying, oh yeah, just let them in, you're crazy, because what you're doing is basically sabotaging your own kids' future, because all of these people coming in, we don't know who they are. Now, I'm not against immigration, but it needs to be controlled, and it also needs to be kind of like turned on and turned off. Not off, but less lowered, and it's like a tap almost. But unfortunately, right now, things are, and no one's assimilating, no one's integrating. This is the problem. This is my biggest problem, innit? People are not integrating. They're having parallel lives, and then when they London, I went to Huddersfield the other day. Lucky I didn't tell no. Nothing happened there, but from my understanding, in places like Huddersfield and Leeds, people are literally living in separate communities, right? And so they don't actually know each other. Yeah. And one thing I've realized going to Speakers Corner, talking to people and open, I'm not just talking about talking to people like, oh, no, I'm talking about being straight. Yeah. We say in Punjabi, Siddi gal, innit? Like, just talk straight. Like, just tell them what you think, innit? I think that's the best way to do it. Let it all out in the open, because you can't change people's minds if you don't know what they're thinking. I've changed my mind on loads of things. Like, God, when I went to Speakers Corner, sometimes I look back at some of the videos, like, what was I thinking? But if I didn't say that and say what I truly thought in my heart, I can't change my mind, because no one can then say, okay, Raj, you're wrong about this, isn't it? Now, what's going to happen is the government is going to really stamp down hard, which is good. But they're also going to label everybody that was protesting as far right, which I think is wrong. The people that were burning things, they need to be put into prison, in it. But just your average British person, white English person, kind of getting fed up with certain things and, wanting to protest, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just when it becomes violence and, attacking people, that's when it's crossed the line. And the government has to do that. But I think it's a recipe for disaster, to be honest, in the future. I think it's just going to get worse until people start to realize that saying that immigration and it needs to be kind of controlled and people are not integrating is an issue. You're gonna have problems, isn't it? If you can hide your head in the sand as much as you want, but it's gonna come out. The situation is gonna get out of control.
Okay, look, so so you've covered that angle, that there has to be a limitation on the people coming in, and that there has to be some level of turning back the people that are coming in illegally. So what about the fact that there's no integration from the Muslim community generally with everybody else, especially with the British white community?
Yeah,
What's your opinion?
odd. It's really odd, because I come from East London, a place called Leighton, and my school was like 50-60% Pakistani, and the rest was like mixed. I was one of the only Sikh kids.
So it's a shithole then.
Well, it's not a shithole now, People are trying to come to live here, My house price has doubled since the.
I'm only joking.
No, it was a shithole then. So basically, and I remember at that time, the Pakistanis were very integrated. Dude, it is insane that the first generation, we were second generation. And I don't remember any time speaking about religion. Unless it was a religious day and you just say happy Eid or whatever, or they say happy Diwali. I don't remember at Christmas we used to give each other Christmas cards. We used to. I just don't remember any of this. And what's happened is, which is very strange, is the children of the second generation are less integrated. Oh, look who's there! Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I've got working class patriots there. Big up, man. So, they're less integrated now than they were before. Now, London's a little bit different, because it's very hard to get ghettoized in London because of the way. Oh, Eunice is. Yeah, so I better not keep on saying people's names, because if everyone wants to shout, then yeah. So it's very hard to do that here. That's what I've realized. It's very hard to do. But when you go up north, people are living like they're living in Pakistan in one area, and the other side they're living in the UK, right? Now, how are those two people gonna be able to, coexist if the other side is not willing to make any kind of leeway in it? Like, you're in the UK, yeah, and so you need to start to kind of get to a situation where you have a mix, right? So I'm still Punjabi Sikh, right? Yeah, I wear my pug, my turban and stuff, but I still see myself as British, innit? My humor is very kind of British. The programs are like the music, yeah. So culturally, I'm still on certain things very British. But if you can't listen to music, which is, look, I'll give you an example, right? I was on a train I think it was like a year ago, right? And there were some beautiful dogs that come on the train. I'm talking about such cute little puppies, right? And I was like, yeah, can I touch? Now, when I looked around, there was two women in hijabs. They looked terrified. They got up and they walked all the way across, right? So this is it sounds quite trivial, but it's just I'm just trying to make a point. The UK is a dog-loving country, yeah. But if the one group that hates dogs or doesn't like dogs are Muslims, because in Islam they have a saying about dogs that if they come in the house, that they're the demon can come in, right? And that sounds quite trivial, but there's lots of little things like this. Like some music. In Islam, music is not permitted. Whereas in Sikhism, music is okay as long as you don't, you don't have anything too bad. So music is prohibited. You go to certain areas, like in certain areas, you can't have pubs in it. I mean, if you go to a Muslim, all pubs are closed. But I'm not saying I agree with alcohol because I don't drink in it. And in Sikhism, you're not supposed to drink. But if you go to like a Sikh or a Hindu area, they still got pubs. They still got normal things that still, although they look very Asian, they still have certain things that the British people still kind of like associate with the UK, right? So if you go Southall, how many pubs are down there? Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing because I can still go into a pub and sit down even though I don't drink. And I know people that are religious Sikhs who don't drink that can still go into a pub. They just get a Coke in it. But I know Muslims won't go into a pub. Yeah, most that I've known, they just won't even step inside. So, this is a place that, for centuries, thousands of years, that the British people see as like a sacred kind of place for them, that they go and socialize and stuff. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I don't want to ramble, but it's just little things like that just kind of put a barrier up between communities, in my opinion, when certain things are totally prohibited for one community, another community is something that they love, right? Yeah, you understand? Am I getting the point across? I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And that's just a few little things. So with other groups, so if you look at if you got to, so I'm going to go with the Asian community because they're the biggest kind of group here. And if you look at Hindus, they're totally silent in terms of underground. You don't ever have any problems with them. Very low crime rate, very high education rate. And basically, you never hear about them. But, dude, they're making inroads all over the place. I mean, Rishi Sunak was a Hindu, but he was from Punjab, and he was a Punjabi Hindu. And then you have all these, the Priti Patels and stuff like that. Now, they're just totally underground, right? They're silently in the UK. No one ever hears anything overly negative about them. With the Sikhs, we're kind of in the middle, if I'm being honest with you. I think we've got a good balance there. We're not boring, for God's sake. Sorry, Hindus. You are a little bit, I don't know, goody two-shoey in it. Like, at least with Sikhs, we've got a bit of character in it. Yeah, a bit of character. But with Muslims, especially, I would say the worst culprits, if I'm being honest with you. Shall I say it?
Go on.
It's the Pakistanis. I'm sorry, because I've known lots of different groups of Muslims over my lifetime. Right, Gujarati Muslims are just like Hindus, in my opinion. They're very, very similar. The only difference is their religion. Then you have Bengalis. Bengalis, I've never really seen that much issue. They just keep to themselves most of the time. Right, they do a bit of shenanigans, but they're not.
They're killing Hindus in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I'm talking about UK, yeah, and I condemn that. I'm talking about the UK, my experience, right? The Bangladeshis kind of just keep to themselves. They have their own kind of bullshit going on in their own thing, but it's nothing that kind of like creeps over into, say, the British white population. Now, when it comes to other kind of communities that have come over recently, like from Turkey, Algeria, Morocco, I think some of them are freaking borderline atheists. I've met so many that, they're not very religious in any way, especially Turkish people. I don't know if you agree with me that loads of Iranians, God, they're on another level of madness. They're all like Banksy. They're all crazy Iranians. Yeah, they lost the plot. Those lot, they've gone way too far. Big up to Banksy though. But the Pakistanis, the reason why I think this is the case is because Pakistanis have a big chip on their shoulder. And the reason of that chip on their shoulder is that they're basically Indian, right? Yeah, they are on it. I mean, before 1947, there's no such thing as Pakistan. Their ancestors were Hindus, and they hate anything to do with Hinduism. So they overcompensate by being more Arab than an Arab. That when I used to go Speaker's Corner, the Arabs used to be just like normal dress, used to walk around just like that. And it was the Pakistanis that used to come freaking in phobes and, looking more Arab than an Arab, innit? Because I think they have an inferiority complex when it comes to, so they're more overzealous to prove that they're more Muslim than a Muslim. I don't know if you agree with that, Manny. That's kind of what
Well,
the kind of
look. I'll be honest. I have very minimal contact with anyone from the Muslim community. I have some business associates here or there, which increasingly I have less and less contact with. But I have heard from various sources that Pakistanis are generally regarded at the bottom end of the Muslim hierarchy.
yeah.
That's something that I've come across. So always assumed that was the case. And obviously, when you look at stuff like British education results, they're right at the bottom. And you look at prison numbers and obviously Muslim grooming gangs and statistics like that. They seem to be at the very worst end of pretty much everything that you don't want to be at the worst end for.
Well, look. If you look at the north, right, most of the Asians there from the Muslim community are going to be from Pakistan, right? Especially the kind of Kashmiris and the Meepolis and stuff. And so most of the issues are from the north. This is why when you look at the map of all the rioting and stuff, most of them were in areas where you had a high Muslim population, right? Here from Pakistan. Now, I'm going to say something quite controversial. I think if you had the same number of like population of Muslims, but they were Turkish, I don't think you'd have the same problem. Yeah, I just don't think you would, because there's a big kind of disconnect between like the Pakistanis and the rest of the people. Now, obviously, you have the grooming situation. You have to understand from like the people need to understand this isn't just like an overnight thing, right? I said before in 2017 that things are going to remember 2017 we had 3 terrorist attacks. Yeah, when I went speaker's corner, the reason I went is because of all the terrorism, all the grooming cases that had come out, and I thought, all right, I need to go down there and just kind of like say my piece in it. And so I thought then things will kind of explode then, but things kind of start to. I'm not look before I say that. I'm not saying it's because of me. There was no terrorism, but it might have been. I don't know. After 2017, when I went speaker's corner, there was hardly any terrorist attacks, right? And I feel like the kind of like terrorism and extremism like angle and the amount of attacks and stuff have not been that prolific for the last couple of years, right? But people still can remember those attacks, right? And they can still, and with the Palestinian, now this is where it's going to get a bit thingy because my views on the kind of like the protest and stuff. I'll probably get hate from everyone, to be honest with you, because look, can I go into the Palestinian protest? Because I think that has something to do with it as well.
We're gone.
So basically, you have all of this stuff going on, and then you do have 2-tier policing. There's no doubt about it. You have to just look at what people can get away with from different groups, yeah, and how hard the police clamps down on certain groups, right? And the white people do seem to get it worse than other groups, right? Now, obviously, if they're rioting and burning things, they need to get a good, like, truncheon in the head in it. Yeah, they need that in it. But if they're just protesting, they shouldn't be kind of like, manhandled like the way they do. Yeah. So you've been having all these protests about Palestine, and rightly so. So I don't think there's anything wrong with protesting. I think it's totally fine as long as it's legal and that they're doing it in a manner that doesn't cause any harm to anyone else. Now, I have seen a couple of videos where I think it's crossed the line of being a bit anti-Semitic when people are saying to the river, to the sea, and all this kind. If you really know the history, you understand that and people supporting Hamas outright, you can support the what's happening to the Palestinians. And in my opinion, it has become a genocide. In my opinion, and remember, I'm somebody that's pro-Israel. Yeah. So before everyone says, "Oh, Raj, no, I'm pro-Israel." I think Israel has a right to self-determination and has a right to be in the mid there. I don't agree with how they got there, but they have a right to defend themselves as well. But I don't agree with what they're doing in Palestine. What they've done is backfired massively on the Israeli cause, in my opinion. But the protests that have been going on, I think that's agitated people as well, because people are running for government on a Palestinian cause. Think about that, Manny. Just think about it. Your only reason for running for government is for Palestine. How does that make sense? So it's like me saying, because I believe in Khalistan, which is a separate state for Punjab, for Sikhs, that I then go into politics, but all I talk about is what's happening in Punjab. That's my only kind of like policies. How does that make sense? Of course that's going to piss people off, because when you're being elected, when you're being elected as a councillor or an MP, you're not being elected for one group. Your whole thing is to kind of unite the communities and to represent everyone. Now, if all you're talking about is Palestine, now it's rightfully so. You should be angry about Palestine and upset, but your whole policy shouldn't be about that. Now, these councillors, like doing that, and then it's just they're pissing people off on it, because somebody in that community who, now somebody's like in charge as a councillor that, there's a couple of councillors that have come into power whose only policy is that they don't know anything else. What are they going to do for the average non-Muslim, non-Palestinian supporting person that's in that group, in that community? You understand? What are they going to do? They have nothing for them. So imagine you're in that area and you see this, you're like, dude, this is ridiculous, isn't it? This is ridiculous. Now, I'm gonna try and be fair as well. Look, people that, the white British people need to understand one thing, because I'm gonna give it both sides in it, because I've heard, you come to the UK and you're still going on about your home. Listen here, I got relatives back home, right? I got uncles, aunties, family members. So what happens there is still going to be relevant to me. Now, it shouldn't be above what's happening to me here. It shouldn't be that should be above what's best for me here and my family here. But I should be concerned. So if somebody's a Palestinian in the UK and Palestine is being bombed to smithereens, I think they have a legitimate right to be upset and to protest in it. But it shouldn't be their only go-to in it, because you're still British as well. You need to understand that. If you don't think that, then there's going to be serious problems, man. And one of the now this is one thing which is going to be quite controversial, but I'm going to have to say it. What do you think this is going to be? Hello? Can you show videos, Manny? Manny? Oh, he's disappeared. I bored him to death. All right, so what I'm going to say is this, people kind of like defending their areas from people coming in who are, want to cause harm. I have nothing against that, right? But when you're shouting religious slogans, please listen to me, the Muslim community, because I think I should be your PR man, because I don't think you have no self-awareness. I understand as a Sikh, if I start shouting religious slogans and there's white people on the other end, they're going to start seeing it as a religious war, right? Now, I've seen hundreds of videos. Oh, Manny, you're still there, but I'm talking about.
Sorry, I just had to nip away for to the little boy's room.
Oh, all right. I thought you fell asleep. No, but I was talking about the fact that, when the people are defending there, because I'm going to say, if you're coming to my area, I'm going to defend it, innit? If there's like a whole group of people wanting to cause harm, you rightfully so can do that. But I've seen so many videos of Muslims in these areas shouting religious slogans, right? Why? When you're shouting that religious slogan, what do you think the other side is going to think? They're going to think it's a religious war then. If you're shouting that, now I'll try and say it without disrespecting anyone. Allah or Akbar, I could be Muslim, and they go takbir and stuff. That is totally inappropriate for this situation, because there's thousands of videos of masked Asian men running towards the other side, shouting religious slogans. There's no reason for that, because now everyone on the other end hears that, is going to now think this is a religious war when it's not. And you're making it into a religious war by shouting stuff. I mean, do you agree with me?
Maybe for them it is a religious war.
Well, if it is, then we're screwed, isn't it?
Because look, we have to look at how are we going to analyze this. If somebody is shouting religious aggression through their vocabulary, then we have to take it on those principles.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, because like, I'm trying to be fair and look at both sides right now. If I'm in an area and my mother's there, my sisters, my kids, or whatever, and there's these white British people coming down saying they want to harm you, because I've seen people smashing windows and stuff, I don't care. I'm coming out, and I'm going to be defending my family as much as I can, right? But there's a difference between that and you running in groups shouting religious slogans, because seriously, the kind of the bad PR from that alone is just absolutely unbelievable. If I was in with these Asian guys and they were saying that, I'd feel uncomfortable in it as a Sikh. I'm being straight with you, innit? I'll be uncomfortable. I would not feel comfortable with them shout, because also because I know that, you know, one, I'm not Muslim. Secondly, I'll big up Sam as well, man. And also because I know it's gonna send out the wrong message that this is now a religious one. Maybe to them it is, and if that's the case, then it is a disaster, isn't it? Because if you're right. Now, one thing do you watch a program called Five Pillars?
I don't watch TV.
No, it's a YouTube channel.
Oh no, I don't think
So
so.
basically, it's a YouTube. It's actually quite a good panel. So it's a Five Pillars. It's basically a Muslim channel, and it's got a white convert and a Muslim guy, Asian guy.
Is
And
the convert ginger?
dude, he's probably died it, but you'll have to check his Datte in it and have a double check. Anyone can check his Datte for us so he can come back and confirm? Datte mean balls, in it? Yeah, but I don't know.
What's it called? Five Pillars.
Yeah, so I kind of watch that because a lot of times they have some good takes in it. Like, you know, even people I disagree with might be true about certain things, right? And I've always thought them to be quite reasonable. I listen to them and I go, yeah, fair enough. But some of the things I heard, like just before the riots, were just unbelievable. One video, I'll send it to you at some point, but I couldn't find it. One of the main guys, who I thought was quite reasonable, the Asian guy, said that the only reason for Muslims to be in the UK is to do dawah. That's it. Remember, this is from a reasonable guy. And big up Rashma, how you doing? So I don't understand why you're giving that message out to the youth that your only reason to be here is for dawah. Because what that sends out the message is that all you want to do is convert people, and that's it. You don't want to live in this country as a citizen. Your only purpose is to convert. And that is a terrible message to get out. So I then read the comments because I thought a lot of people would condemn him for saying that. And to be honest, no one condemned him. Like, I read the thingy, I didn't read anything. Yeah, these guys, they're actually pretty good overall. They got some good takes. I listened to them, especially these two at the top. But the Asian guy said that a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of like wanted to comment on that. I said, how can you live in a country and want the best for the country if your only reason for being here is for just evangelizing? Yeah, you can't, in my opinion, because if I'm only here to spread Sikhism and that's my only goal, I'm sorry, I think that's a dangerous position to have in it, because then you don't care about what's happening to your fellow people apart from their inner faith, innit? And so I was a bit surprised about that, to be honest with you. And I think if that's kind of like the mentality of a lot of people, religious, overly zealous people, religious people, and they're only here to preach religion, even that's just crazy as well. I mean, what do you think then? I mean, I'll send you the video next time, maybe we can go over it. I don't know if you'll probably get copyrighted though.
Okay, so just to recap, you think the Muslim community are not integrating and don't want to integrate because of either religious or social, economical issues. You believe that, or you understand why there's such animosity from the British white or even the British Indian community, in what's been happening from the Muslim community over the last a number of years. You've also outlined that the government and the police are definitely two-tier, and that they seem to be siding with the opposing side, the opposite side, the one side anyway, and more than the other, which is very clear to see. So now what? So we've got the government playing two sides off each other, the government siding with one side over the other. So the government's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. The immigrants who have settled here don't want to integrate and play nicely. People are getting very upset because they feel that they are losing out because of the immigration. So what's the solution? How do we get out of the situation? Because the situation, as of today, has been confirmed that more immigrants are coming on boats the record's has been broken. More immigrants are coming off the boats in the channel, English channel, than ever before. So we can take that as a statistical fact, and that's going to continue. So what's the solution? How do we get out?
Before I go on and I'll answer that in a second, I just want to say that different Muslim communities are integrated different ways. Like I said, I think Bengalis are pretty good from what I've seen in the area that I'm in. I don't think they're ghettoized. They don't walk around like they're in the Middle East. I go down to Bethnal Green quite a lot, especially because of art and stuff. I think Turkish people, Algerian, North Africans, Indian, Gujaratis, Muslims are probably one of the most integrated from what I've seen. And then Muslims, the ones that I think are the biggest problem are in these northern towns where there's a large population of Pakistanis mainly ghettoized in these towns. And it's not just their fault. They've been put into those areas and that's where they live. And they don't have any communication now with people from the other area. They may just say hello, work together. But I'm talking about real communication, innit? Not like you just, like nodding your head as you're walking past. They don't know each other. The other thing is one of the guys here, let me just read the thingy just quickly. I have to just say this. K. Shafta says you can give dawah by people visiting you at the mosque. I don't have, look, the way I'm not saying dawah is wrong. You're not understanding what I'm saying. But if your only purpose in the UK is to do dawah, then that is wrong. I can say as a Sikh, I'm in the UK, and if I want to spread the word about Sikhism, that's fine, innit? But if I then say to you, the only reason I'm here is to convert people and bring them to Sikhism, can you not see in your head how that is counterproductive to being a productive citizen of the UK? Because you don't care about anything else apart from doing one thing.
So Sam Ahmed said it's a religion of conquest. Tommy Robinson have said that. Countless other people have said that. So do you concur with that then on that basis?
Look, we know throughout time Islam, when it comes in, it can conquest, and it has done it in India, it's done it in Punjab, they've done it through violence and stuff like that. Do I think every Muslim in the UK is here to overtake? No, I think, but there is a maybe 10 to 15% that want to basically through what I call kind of like the democracy, want to turn the UK into a Muslim state. The guy that from 5 Pillars, I was shocked because I thought he was a moderate. He said it. He said basically that we are not here for anything else apart from to do dawah, and we should use the political system in order to get our.
But wasn't it you that said in the past there's no such thing as a moderate Muslim?
Yeah, but I don't. Like I said, I've grown in it. I've grown. Yeah. So look, everybody has to kind of learn in it. And when I went speakers corner, one of the things I learned, there are moderate Muslims. I met loads of them in it. Really good people, and those people are terrified of the extremists. And so they're kind of like in a situation, they speak up, they're going to get battered by the extremists, in it. So there are loads of moderate Muslims, loads of Muslims that, look, let me put it this way. Everybody that's here legally is going to stay here legally, right? And if you're a threat to the UK and you've been born here, you should go to prison, in it. This situation about we're going to get rid of people, we're going to put them on the boats, that's not happening, in it. Not on my watch. I'll tell you that now. I wouldn't watch my neighbor who's somebody that's not done anything be shipped off, in it. So obviously that's to do with that. When it comes to immigration, people that are here legally, like my family, what people need to understand also, there's been different waves of immigration, right? My mum and my dad had a British passport. You need to ask yourself, why did my mum and dad have a British passport? Because Britain
the country they came from wasn't very good.
But I'm saying they had a British passport because Britain had conquered that part of the world. And then during the 60s and 70s, after World War II, Britain needed to be rebuilt. My dad was a builder, right? So people were invited to come over, and then we come over and we did it. Then there's different waves of immigration. So you can't lump us all in the same kind of box, in it. Now, also, Sikhs have fought for this country. Oh God, I need to really talk about one thing quickly afterwards. But let me just talk about what we need to do about immigration. Now, look, I still think Tommy Robinson speaks a lot of truth, right? He was right about the grooming gangs. He was right about the extremism with the terrorism and stuff. And he's right about free speech. But it doesn't mean that I agree with everything that he says or does, right? I said years ago in 2019, when I said I've kind of moved away from Tommy Robinson because I wanted to be independent, that he's good at highlighting issues, but he's not good at resolving issues. So what he's done is, like, you can only go so far when you're just good at kind of highlighting issues, because he's got no resolutions for it. Now you can keep on telling people this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. What will happen is writing, right? Because he doesn't have no solution. So as much as I don't feel, I'm going to say it again, I don't actually think Tommy Robinson is a racist. I think he can be an arsehole and a prick sometimes, and he says stupid things. But I've met the guy. I don't think he's a racist. And one of the nicest people I've met, and I still say it, is what's his name again? What's the guy that you
Richard Inman.
Richard Inman, yeah, Richard Inman. Like, God, that guy is like somebody that, you know, like, is one of the best people I've met over the years. There's been a lot of bad people I've met as well. I won't say their names, but, you know, I don't personally believe that, you know, they have the solution, or Tommy Robinson doesn't have the solution, because the solution, you know, he's not, I don't want to disrespect the guy, but he's just not cut out for what's called kind of like the more difficult parts of trying to resolve this issue, which is like having been able to communicate with people, being able to kind of like, you know, think of ways to kind of like, you know, resolve the issue. So he's good at doing one thing but not the other. So when it comes to like boats coming over, the government needs to start really, I don't want to say get hard, because it's because you know, I'm still a human in it, and I still have humanity, and these people that are coming over, that maybe they truly do have like really kind of like, you know, difficult situations, but you need to look after the people of the UK first, right? I'm sorry, it might sound harsh, but it's just a fact. What's the point of me feeding the homeless, but in my house I got no food for my family? Yeah, what's the point? You're only harming your own family. So I'll take the bread out of my fridge, I'll give it to a homeless person, but my daughter or my kids are starving. And this is the kind of situation.
You know, this is a good point to get Jupiter on. So Jupiter has some very good opinions on exactly this. But I don't know. Are you?
We can let her on at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. I think we definitely need Jupiter on, because she has some good opinions about this.
Yeah. So do you know, like,
so would you look? How the question is, how far do you want to go? Do you just want to turn back the illegal immigrants on boats? Do you want to send back the illegal immigrants that are already here? Do you just want to send the illegal immigrants that have been given status but have committed crimes? Or do you want to go as far as to say, if you don't give your heart and soul to the country, then you shouldn't really be here?
All right. So people that have come over, and they're obviously just coming over for money, and that's the only reason. There's no other reason. There's no kind of like persecution in the country. I'm sorry, they need to be sent back in it. I'm sorry, in a humane way. People that, you know, do get citizenship up to a point and they're committing crimes only, I'm sorry, what's the point? You might just either lock them up or you send them back in it. There needs to be kind of like a robust kind of solution to how people come in. Also, there needs to be like a pledge of allegiance, like in America, where they have this pledge of allegiance. I don't know if they'd have it here. There also needs to be a very simple thing, is being able to speak English. Now, I'll give an example. The reason why this is so important. When my mum come in the 60s, she learned English in a month. Seriously, she went to the doctor. Now, she had a bit of a head start because she was from Uganda, and they used to teach English, like the A, B, C, D, and all that kind of stuff. But when she came here, and my dad as well. My dad took a bit more longer, but do you know how much difference that makes, being able to speak the language? Now,
yeah,
my aunt,
I've spoken to your mum. Your mum's not really average for her age group. I mean, all the Indian ladies at the same age group as your mum, they can't speak.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's what level of English.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not good. So what needs to happen is that the people that do come over need to be able to communicate with their fellow people that, you know, live around them. And one way to do that, my mum can go everywhere by herself, innit? But my aunt can't do nothing for herself because she can't speak English. And that also puts up a barrier between her being able to communicate with people from different kind of communities, right? Because not everyone that's brown speaks the same language. Somebody's Bengali, I can't understand what they're saying. They're going,
you send your auntie back.
Would I send my auntie back? If I was being fair, yeah, I would have to, innit? If she come over illegally and there was no reason for her to be, like, she wasn't being persecuted or something. Now, the people that are being persecuted and stuff, then you need to go through their case, innit? And then figure out. And I can do the Bengali accent because I am from the South Asia, but that's what it sounds to me, innit? Everyone thinks we can all understand it. I can't understand what they're saying. Can't understand a word, you know? So all I can hear is gibberish. No, not gibberish. So basically,
the only people that seem to be genuinely persecuted are the Sikhs and the Christians.
in
Anywhere.
uh
You could argue some of those Muslims in Gujarat in India are being targeted, and I will accept that. But I don't see Muslims being targeted anywhere else. Hindus are only from India, so they're not targeted anywhere else. Sikhs are India and are being targeted. That's very clear. And
yeah, but one of the things, we are being targeted in Canada. Now, this is where it gets kind of weird, isn't it? I think every country that is kind of like a white majority country has a particular group that they target, right? So what's happening in Canada, there's a lot of Sikhs in Canada, right? And they're doing very well there. In fact, they're quite, I mean, they have a lot of problems. We're not like Hindus, where we don't have any problems. We do. There's a lot of gang-related stuff going over there with drugs and stuff like that. But overall, the Sikhs in Canada are in power. One of the guys of the opposition is a Sikh with a beard and a turban, and a lot of people in the armed thinking. I think the defense secretary was an ex-soldier in the Canadian Army, but they're getting stick as well in Canada.
Because those Sikhs over in Canada, they're not integrating like the Sikhs are in the UK. It's not.
The point I know, but the point I'm trying to make is that then when you go to America, it's like the Mexicans, and then when you go to UK, but the difference is, I think, is that when you look at Mexicans in America, they still see themselves as an American. They want to live the American dream in it. And in Canada, the Sikhs want to be there, and they would defend. The problem we have in the UK is that we have whole swathes of population that hate the UK for past sins or things that are going on right now. I understand why Muslims are angry about Palestine, right? I understand it. Like, it's terrible what's happening. Yeah, but you can't then run on a single platform ticket to punish the UK for something that's happening in Palestine, right? You just can't do that. And this is where I think, people don't really understand the when they say the kind of aesthetics of things. I don't think the Muslim community doesn't understand. When you're running only on one particular topic, it makes it look like you don't care about the UK. Do you understand?
Mm.
It makes you look like your priorities are in Palestine, even though you should be concerned about it and protest it. It can't be your only thing. People are out protesting every week about Palestine. That's good, innit? That's good. You need to do that. But when it gets to the point where the people that are more concerned, because I saw another video of a guy going, our people are being killed. It was a Pakistani guy who was going, my people are being killed in Palestine. They're being killed in Bangladesh. They're being killed in it. And I was thinking to myself, so you don't see Britain as your people then? Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You don't see them as your people. You're seeing yourself as separate. Now, I can say, obviously, I've got my own cause with Khalistan, right? But it doesn't supersede my what I believe about the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go above that. You have to put it below, because at the end of the day, although I want this for Sikhs in that particular area of the world, I have to concentrate on my backyard first, innit? Where I am.
I'll be honest, categorically, like in terms of priority, I first and foremost stand with British people.
Well, you have to, innit? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to, because
me and my mum, we have some quite big spats because she disagrees with that. But I wouldn't be able to stand for the cause that you just outlined, because I don't really see that as my cause.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Britain is not, because somebody, K-Chef, has written a good point. Britain is not innocent in terms of what's going on around the world. There's even the formation of Israel was by the Balfour Declaration. So we understand that. Like the Punjab in India, it was carved up and it's still good. But what I'm trying to say to people, you can't punish the people of today for something that somebody done 100 years ago. If you want to do that, then that's fine. But then I'll punish you, or I can then punish people from people that have aggrieved me. 152 my people 250, 300 years ago in Punjab, right? Like, where does it stop? Like, you
Okay, so
can't
so if there's a wrong being done, then how do you resolve that wrong? Because they necessarily don't really want compensation either. They just want a wrong to be put right. Are you saying there's no way of righting that wrong?
Now, how can you never gonna be able to please anyone? This is the problem. Like, the thing about the Israel situation. Now, I am for a two-state solution. I've said this from before. It's right, you just change. No, I've always said this. I went to the Al Quds March, and I've always said the two-state solution is the best way. And what's happening? Although I have supported Israel and said, look, I agree with that. They should, exist. I don't agree with what they're doing in Palestine. I think it is a genocide, and I do think it's evil. And what they need to do, the people that are protesting, protest, innit? But don't make that your only thing. If you're a British citizen, that shouldn't be your only concern. You should be concerned about what's happening in your doorstep first, and then you can do everything else as well, right? And this is the issue I think that has kind of rolled people up for the last couple, because it's kind of shown people's true colors, right? When people are coming out in mass about this and talking about it and saying this is it, and then you have politicians only running on that one thing. I think it's kind of pissed people off, the British population. Like, okay, so you care more about the person that's in Palestine being bombed than your own neighbor that isn't of the same faith as you. Do you understand? And that's going to cause animosity. There's no doubt about it. If I was now saying, I care for more that people of Punjab than my neighbor who's a white person, well, what do you think will happen? It's going to cause animosity, right? I can care for both, innit? But you have to prioritize at some point and make a decision. Where does your loyalties lie in it? And if you want to live in a country that is basically, you're living here, you're earning money, you can't just have your cake and eat it. You have to understand there's other commitments as well. That if there's a war, there's a good chance you're gonna have to fight in it. So there's other commitments. So you can't just have one slice of it and say, okay, I'm only going to accept this bit, but there's all these other bits that I don't like. I'm just not gonna even think about it. You're gonna have to sort that out yourself. And yeah, it's gonna cause. I personally think this is just the beginning, isn't it? It's the beginning, and it's going to get worse and worse, man. In my opinion.
Okay, let's say your prediction then. Where do you think this is going to go?
I think personally, what's going to happen is, unless people can start getting to a situation where immigration is under control, and I don't mean stopping immigration, but illegal immigration is under control, and some form of like point system is put into place, so that's kind of like sorted out. If that's not sorted out, that's going to explode again. The other thing is people don't start integrating, and I'm talking about mainly from the Pakistani music, because I think different communities have different forms of integration. It's just gonna get worse, isn't it? Because they're just gonna other each other all the time. They never talk, and if people don't talk as well, if people are being shut down for speaking their mind, you're racist, you're this, you're an Islamophobe, and all that. I'm telling you, they're just gonna put it in there. They're gonna put it in a little box, and they're gonna let it sit there. And then one day, that box is gonna open, but it's gonna be like a monster that's gonna come out. Yeah, because they're not allowed to speak. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it would just take one more thing that's kind of like a big attack or something like that, and it will be riots all over again. Yeah, and it will just keep happening. And at one point, it will get to, because if you look at history, human nature, people can be absolutely evil to their fellow man. If you just take an example of Punjab, right? People were living next to each other as friends, and then the next day, when they split the Punjab in half, they were killing each other, because they had all this built-up hatred for each other, but they never told each other. You understand? They were like, okay, so they had all this animosity, but as soon as somebody allowed them to sort of take that out, the shit hits the fan in it. I'm telling you, at some point, it will happen, because the Muslim community is growing exponentially, and the Sikh community is basically not stagnated, but it's in similar kind of line to the British community. Like, I think we have like 1.5 kids or 2 kids, and same with the Hindus and everything. But the Muslim community is going to get bigger. It's going to be a much bigger population, and they're going to have more control over government and stuff. And so people are gonna get pissed off if they're not allowed to speak in it.
So what you just said there is a well-known understanding within within the Sikh community, because the Sikh community has been through this already and have stood up to this type of Islamic regime. British people or English people, even European people, have in the past as well. And you know, the average person like you and I, you know, we might be a little bit sharper than some, but generally we are average people. If we can figure all this out, how come the powers to be who are inviting these extremists into the country, why aren't they figuring it out? Or is it a case of they have figured it out and that's the game they want?
Yeah, maybe they just think it's something that they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. So it's kind of don't do nothing. It's the easier route, isn't it? And yeah, K Shaffer, yes, I'm like upgraded. You know, every time I have an update, like, and the thing is, like, there's a message there saying that I'm more fair. It's not that I'm more fair. It's that I speak, because when you speak to people openly, yeah, and not hide what you're thinking, you can be challenged on your beliefs, right? Now, this is what's going to happen. A lot of people that are being arrested, okay, that's very good. They need to be arrested. Those people that are trying to burn the thingy, seriously, they should be charged for attempted murder, innit? And people are going to be arrested. People are going to be told to, okay, you know, you can't say nothing. And over time, that animosity is just going to grow, and it's going to be passed to their kids' kids. And at some point, that will just erupt again, and the next time it will be even worse. And then if they clamp down again, at some point the government will not be able to take control. There's so many instances of, you know, the masses just taking over. You know, the French Revolution, I was looking into that, and the amount of how it just collapsed so quickly, over a period of time, especially when you got like people that are struggling financially. That's the worst thing, though, when it comes to money and they see other people that are not, you know, supposed to be here in their opinion, and they've got a room, they've got, you know, thing, you didn't have to pay rent, they'd have to do this and that. Could you imagine how annoyed you'd be? Some of these people, they're mocking them, they've got no teeth in it, and I have to say they haven't got no teeth, yeah, but you need to ask, why have they got no teeth? Why is it in a first world country, in the UK, there are people en masse with no teeth? And that's the kind of more kind of like systemic kind of problem with what's going on. People cannot afford, because, you know, the thing with the dentist is not covered under the NHS, right? So people are just letting their teeth fall out, and that's a bigger kind of problem in it, because people cannot afford to even get the basics to cover themselves, isn't it? And when they see an immigrant with bright pearly white teeth, right, you know, when he smiles, he's like he's come out of a Colgate freaking advert, and they're not worrying about rent, they're not worrying about food and everything like that. I mean, what do you think's gonna happen? They're gonna get freaking pissed, in it. They're gonna get pissed off. I get pissed off. You know, like I've been walking around, because obviously I'm an artist now, right? And I have to exhibit in like certain areas where there's a lot of homeless people. And seriously, like, you know, when I'm walking around, I even think to myself, why is a person that's like a legally here living on a road in this state, right? And there's people coming over, and they're not supposed to be here, yeah, and they got, you know, accommodation. I do think that myself. I'm like, okay, this is not fair, innit? Yeah, you have to look at both sides. If you don't, you're just gonna get into what I call kind of your own paradigm, and you're not going to be able to understand if you can't understand your opponent's reasoning. Big up Rashma. Yeah, I said before, the Bengalis are okay. I do actually think the Bengalis are pretty good, to be honest with you. I think they're kind of like not too. I think they're relatively integrated from my own experience. And I had one of my best mates for like 15 years was Bengali, so I used to know a lot of Bengalis. I don't see the same kind of problems with the Pakistani community in the north that I do see with Bengalis, and especially, like I said, Indian, Gujarati, Muslims. So it's not just to do with Islam, yeah. It's to do with other things as well, kind of like a backward mentality, in my opinion. Remember, the grooming, I think, really, really done a lot of damage to kind of race relations, which is not going to be able to be fixed easily.
How disrespectful do you think it is for Pakistani restaurant owners and Bangladeshi restaurant owners, right, when they put outside on their restaurant Indian restaurant? Do you think that's That's a bit cheeky when they're not.
Dude, I didn't know this, right? So people don't realize I went to, I think it was like 30 years ago, I went to a little area in Bangladesh. It's like a little kind of Bengali area. And I was eating the food in it. It was, I thought it was, they were Punjabi. So I tried to speak Punjabi with them in it. I said, oh, okay, yeah. And they were speaking Bengali. I was like, what? And I realized it's all Bengalis put Indian restaurants at the front and making Indian food. For me, as long as it tastes nice and they're honest about it, don't say it's like, you know, it's not actually their cuisine. It's more of a North Indian cuisine. But yeah, I mean, it is, yeah, seriously, on a serious note, until people start to kind of like, you know, understand that if you don't allow people to talk, because now what they're doing, they're clamping down on speech, innit? And you know what my kind of taken was that people are getting arrested for stuff they've written online, which I agree with to a certain degree. If someone's inciting violence and you can prove that it's incited violence, then yeah, fair enough. But if it's just a random tweet, they can get a little Winston Raj Churchill. Oh God, now someone's going to clip that in it. God, no. Winston Churchill is another character that, you know, is a bit like Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. Done some good, but done a lot of effery as well. So you have to kind of figure out how much does it balance. Obviously, without him, we wouldn't be here. Oh, there's another thing. You know, like I always hear people going, because I was gonna. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Winston Churchill, because I want to talk something quickly about an accusation that's made against Sikhs from our Pakistani and other Asian brethren, right? They always say, Sikhs, oh, you always suck up to the British. Oh, you always talk about what you did in World War II and World War I. Listen here, you moron. You know why we do it? So we remind the British people what we, as the Sikhs, contributed to this country. Now, you guys also did the same thing, but because you're so stupid, you won't tell anyone. We got statues everywhere. Do you know why we put the statues up? To remind the average British person that us Sikhs died in our thousands, and we were one of the largest voluntary force to come here to help, right? Now, what the problem with you guys, because you're so stupid, this is why I think I need to be your PR man. The way you kind of like ingratiate yourself with the indigenous population is to show them, okay, we didn't just turn up, yeah, we actually helped you at a time of need. Now, so when you go places and you see these big statues of Sikhs with guns, and I did that drawing of Battle of Serengeti, and it's at Sanders Military Academy. Do you know what that does? Every time a British person walks past it, they go, okay, you know, these Sikhs, you know, they've contributed here to this country even before they've arrived there. Whereas what you guys are doing, you guys are coconuts and sellouts. Oh, you just want to kiss them. No, we're smart. What you should do is write books about it, that there was nearly 1 million Muslims from Pakistan and Bangladesh that came to, and India, came to the UK, came to during these world wars, and they died in their thousands. But no one knows about it because you're too busy not wanting to look like a little coconut bounty hunter. Yeah, but now you're getting the repercussions because no one knows you did anything. Even though you had a massive force of Muslims that come here and died for this country beforehand, you should be shouting it from the rooftop like the Sikhs do. Sorry, I had to get out my thingy. It's true though, right?
Yeah.
It's true. Why do we put these statues up? Because when someone walks down this little village, right, and they see a Sikh with a rifle and it says this Sikh's dead, what it does, it reminds everybody. But Muslims are so stuck in their kind of, we don't want to see like we're coconuts or we're kind of licking the white man's ass. They're literally shooting themselves in the foot. Do you know how many Muslims fought in World War I and World War II? You're talking about millions that come over voluntarily.
But it goes beyond that as well, to be honest. And the Hindus nearly managed to take India from the clutches of the East India Company and the British Raj, and the last state that was left for them to take back was Punjab, and that's where all the English were kind of heading towards, and it was the Sikhs that backed the army, and from there they launched a attack and started to take India back. And the reason why the Sikhs did that, because they were being oppressed.
Can I just share a little bit? It's not enough you're going to get your thingy off you. It's just
sure. So the Sikhs are being oppressed by the Hindu regime at the moment, and And as a consequence, the British Raj gave many favors to the Sikhs.
So have a look at this, right? When I write in Indian Soldier Statues UK, what do you see? Just Sikhs. Just Sikhs. 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 In reality, what should come up is Muslims, Bengalis from Pakistan, from I think they had millions come over as well. But there's not a single one that I can see that is outwardly about any other group, right? We have loads of them. So when someone walks past and they see this, right? Yeah. Or they see, this one here. What do you think? People are going to go, okay, these people have come here and they've defended our country, because we've come here, we defended before as well, right? And so basically, the other groups don't understand, because what I'm going to say something, right? I don't think Muslim communities in the north, especially, or different, have any self-awareness. You understand what I mean by that?
No.
So self-awareness. So I know if I was to go around going, Khalistan, Zindabad, I want Punjab separated, I'm running on this committee, I'm running for the MP so I can free Khalistan. Now, I should know in my own head when I'm saying this that, okay, this is silly, innit? I'm in Britain. I can't be running on a one single kind of policy on Khalistan, right? In the UK. I know that, in my own head. I can say, okay, this is going to piss people off. It's going to annoy that person. It's going to annoy that person. It will annoy that person, because you can't just run in it. And I've realized over quite a few years that the Muslim community doesn't have self-awareness in what annoys people, right, around them. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't. It doesn't register in their brain. And I remember when I used to go Speaker's Corner, I was trying to warn people in it. I was like, listen here. This situation with all these terrorist attacks and the grooming and stuff, this is a recipe for disaster, right? And until you start kind of admitting there's a problem and then start to resolve it, it's going to escalate. But most people I spoke to didn't see it as a problem, or they denied it, right? And so there's no self-awareness, right? And this is the biggest problem, because if you can't kind of like reflect on yourself and go, okay, what I do now might annoy someone. And I know it's going to sound quite hypocritical from one of the most annoyingest people in the world, because I can be very annoying, but I do understand about how it might affect people from different communities, right? Like if I'm doing one thing as a Sikh, I'm representing a Sikh in it myself, right? I can't be going around doing X, Y, Z because I'm visibly a Sikh, right? Now, if you have other groups that don't care what anyone else thinks, they really don't care, and so they'll do whatever they want, and then wonder why the person, their neighbors are getting annoyed. It's just a recipe for disaster, unfortunately. I mean, you can open up the panel to Jupiter for like 30 minutes. We can
I've sent the link to Jupes, just waiting for her to come in. So what if anybody has any questions while we wait for Jupes to
ask me a question in it. Let me see.
Anybody in the chat want to ask Raj a question? Now is the time to do so.
Yeah, what else was this? So there was the cost of living. I think that's the problem. Is when people even during before World War II, that's how the Nazi Party got into power, is because of hyperinflation and all of this kind of stuff. When people are struggling financially, your brain doesn't function properly afterwards. You become very, very kind of like irrational. I think, yeah, because obviously I've got financial issues myself. I become irrational sometimes. So, people are seeing other people kind of, wrongly or rightly, they think they're kind of like, fleecing the system by coming here. And another thing is, I do kind of understand that, the argument that if an immigrant kills someone, right, the argument is that immigrant, if they wasn't here, that wouldn't have happened, right? I kind of get that, but it's also pretty stupid as well, right? Because lots of people are being stabbed all the time. I'm not saying the exact same thing would have happened, but remember the guy from Scotland who killed those children, 24 kids, right? And he shot them. Those kids may not have died, but other kids might have died by a white British person. Do you understand? That kind of logic, kind of like I'm trying to think of both sides, and I can kind of understand in a way, but it's still kind of like it's an irrational kind of thing, in it. Like he was born in the UK. His parents come over illegally, from my understanding. He come from Rwanda, which has got a quite serious kind of genocide that happened before. So,
Joshua Lerner is asking why are Muslims so aggressive?
I think they're so aggressive because their religion kind of like it's a bit. Look, I'll give you an example. Faith does determine how you kind of behave. Like if you look at Sikhs, we can be quite aggressive as well, because in our faith is kind of told not to kind of like be a pushover in it. And then when you see Hindus, they're kind of a bit more passive, and Islam has a similar kind of concept, but their one obviously can go a bit awry in different directions. Is that Jupiter?
Yes, it's
Oh,
me.
big up Jupiter. How you doing,
So
man?
good to see you. First of all, let me say condolences.
Yeah, it's been tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. But I did say to Manny, I won't say the other person, but I said only 2 people because I don't want too many people in chatting. I said I did say you, so I hope you're happy about that. I said
I am very happy. I feel very privileged.
we do want the white British woman, the leader of the white British women to kind of speak out in it and not give us your opinion,
Yeah.
man. So I'll be honest, I've not listened to the thing, so I don't know what your stance on this is.
I'm very worried, if I be truthful, Raj. I think that what happened, like you said, we all knew that it was a powder keg ready to go off at any point. And over the years, since around 2017, 18, we've sat back and we thought, oh, it's going to go off soon. It's going to go off soon. Then it calms down. Then we think, oh, it's going to go off. And then it calms down. And then it exploded. And I wasn't surprised at the explosion. Part of me wanted, but being white, British and English, part of me wanted people to speak up united with their voice and actually sort of like protest, but I didn't want the riots. I was saddened to see, and I know I was so saddened to see like the asylum centres, what was happening there, with the starting arson and stuff like that. And a lot of the violence that I saw, because I was worried about the violence that was going to come onto the white community and also to other communities, because obviously I've got mixed race kids and I've got a black husband. So I was like, whoa, this has now gone from talking about the levels of violence, the 2-tier policing, into full scale race war. At some point, that's what I thought. I thought, oh my God, this is going to get out of hand now. I've been disgusted at the usual suspects who've been whipping it up and still causing divisions, don't understand that actually there are valid reasons why it's gone off and why people feel the way they do. And
Hi. Yes, it's Eunice.
Hiya, Eunice.
Hi.
And, I just think that now...
No one else, though. Don't Eunice is okay. No one else, please. Oh, you just want to say hello. You chucked him off.
No, he's here.
Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, but so I'll just quickly round this up and I'll let Eunice speak or Raj speak. But I think now at the moment, I think most British people are reeling with shock that they've all been branded by their own government as right-wing racists. I think they feel not powerless, but slightly frustrated at the whole situation. Because they're going after anybody on social media and nobody really knows what the rules for that are because it hasn't gone through the House of Commons or been legitimised. I mean, when it's people inciting people to be burnt out or to be beaten up or violence, yeah, that's clear cut. But it does seem at the moment we're stuck in this haze where we don't quite know if they're going to sort of like, even if you sit there and go, oh, I don't agree with Keir Starmer's policies, whether you're going to get whipped off to jail all of a sudden or, because they're saying that even if you showed footage of the riots, they're going to go after you, which is madness.
I thought, look, even if they wanted to, they couldn't do it. They haven't got the apparatus to kind of do this. They're in a mess as it is. So I think it's a lot of scaremongering. But the thing is, even if you can't do it, but you're threatening it, it's going to make people feel on edge, innit? And I think obviously, like I haven't voted for like 20 years. I can't stand any of the parties. And the thing is that they need to just really, really kind of like sit down and understand that the majority of the people that were out, not violently protesting, but just protesting, like the week before in London, the majority of those people, and I said it before to you, innit? I think the majority of the people are not racist, but they can easily be pushed into that direction. Do you understand what I mean? If
That's
you're
one of my that's
if
one of
you're
my
if you're
fears.
it's like with Muslim extremists, right? Like I remember meeting somebody, and then he was a normal Muslim, right? And then something happened, and then when I met him again, he was an extremist. Like in my opinion, it's an extreme, right? And so it's very easy to be pushed over to that edge, especially if you're constantly being told as well. And I'm gonna admit, I've made mistakes in the past myself. I've said this person's an extremist, that person's extremist, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think that's right either. Yeah, I remember I said years ago. This is where I think, I've tried my best to learn. Like, I remember years ago I said on camera, I'm going to lock up all the Salafists, right? Salafis in Guantanamo Bay, yeah? Because I thought everybody that followed that form of Islam were extremists, right? Because I didn't really know. I just knew, these guys were like that. And I remember everybody kind of telling me off. And you know what I'm like. If you tell me off, I double down here. But the only person that kind of spoke to me reasonably was Shamsi. And I know a lot of people don't like Shamsi, but what I found about him and his crew, his group, they understand how to talk to people, innit? The worst ones are like people like Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa. These people are doing more harm to cohesion in the UK than anyone understands, right? These people, these two in particular, because they're very big, yeah. And I've realized the way they speak, have you seen that video of Ali Dawa making his wife write on a whiteboard?
No, oh my God.
So basically, just think about the message you're sending out. Remember I said I don't think Muslims have self-awareness, right? And what happened, he was doing a live stream and he doesn't want his wife to be heard. So instead of just, I don't know, maybe not speaking to her or making her change her voice, he made her write on a whiteboard, yeah? So the whiteboard, he was conversating and he was talking to her, and she had to then put the answers. If you just share my screen for a second. Now imagine somebody just looking at this from an outside perspective at one of the biggest Dawa guys. Have a look. If you just share the screen for a second. So this is not fake. I haven't edited this. This is his wife, and then she writes on a board, and then that's how he communicates with her. Right now, this is what I'm saying about perception.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing, because if I was a woman, I'd look at that thinking, oh right, so this is how all Muslim women are treated. They're being made to submit.
Yeah. So what people don't understand is that people like Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab really are doing a lot of damage to the perception of what Muslims are like, right?
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is like they're so big now. I mean, I saw another video of Muhammad Hijab cussing Alex Jones' mother out, the family, everybody in the family got it, the mother, the dads, and everyone, right? And remember, I don't care what anyone says, you are held to a higher standard if you're preaching religion. It's the same if you're a Sikh and you're doing religious, or a Christian, you're doing religious, you have to be held to a higher standard, because what happens, people will then copy you. Yeah, people that are impressionable kids will think, okay, now we can do this. We'll make our wife write on a whiteboard when we get older. We'll do this and do that. So these guys are seriously, the Muslim community needs to have a look.
Absolutely, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But you see, what my biggest fears are now, Raj, are that this. As you know, I don't like radical Islam. I've got no problem with ordinary Muslims that are decent people, and I know that there are people out there who say, oh, even the moderates are quite extreme, and you spoke about the 5 pillars, etc., how they shocked you. That might be true. Yeah. That might be true, but I've spoken to some Muslim people that seem pretty rational and decent, but you never know what's going on underneath. But my biggest fear is this: if we capitulate to this level of intimidation from our own government as well, telling us that we can't speak freely, and I don't mean inciting, nobody wants to incite stuff, that we can't speak freely, we can't have the conversations that need to be had. If we capitulate at this level, then what's to say tomorrow we don't get enforced into Western women being told they've got to cover up from head to foot, they can't show their hair, they've got to appease these people, you've got to do this, that and the other.
Oh, it's already happening.
I don't want none of that. I don't want it. And this is what we have to be very mindful of.
So the thing is, look, I'm quite conservative, right? As a Sikh, I do believe you should dress modestly. But if someone wants to wear a mini skirt, none of my business, innit? It's none of my business. You do what you want to do in it. It comes to the point where when you start to impose your beliefs onto everybody else, so everybody else. I'll give you another example. Sikhs shouldn't really eat meat. I know that's quite controversial. Some Sikhs say, but we're 100% not allowed to eat ritualized meat, which has been like halal meat or kosher, right? We're not allowed to eat it.
Yeah.
And so lots of schools have introduced halal meat, right? Or they try to. But the problem is you're then encroaching on the Sikhs' beliefs. You understand? It's like, oh, we don't have to eat that. We're not supposed to eat that. So then Sikhs have to just eat vegetarian food. But we don't kick up a stuff. We don't kick up a stink. We just, okay, fair enough. We can't do nothing about it. We move on and we just eat the vegetarian option. Whereas I realize that Muslim, they'll kick up a massive stink. Like a really, really kind of like, you know, like make it a massive deal. And sometimes you just have to kind of grin and bear it and go, okay, fair enough. It's not fair, but life isn't fair, innit? Unfortunately, life isn't fair. So there's a lot of So the thing is, I do believe that, you know, things are gonna if the government tries to clamp down too hard, and obviously when I say clamp down, the people that are trying to burn centers, I've seen videos of people smashing up people's houses, beating people out randomly in the street. All of those people need the law firmly, like Judge Dredd, gone down hard on them, and anybody else that kind of on the other side. Now, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for people that were trying to defend their area, but you can't, like, if someone comes to my house and they come into my house, I can defend myself, but I can't go past a certain point. I can't then batter that person and expect not to be charged.
I mean, you have to use force within reason, right?
Within reason. So, and that's the thing though, like you have to still understand it. You have to have force within reason, right? Now, if you're going around with, you know, like battering someone afterwards, you're going to get charged, you know. Even though I feel sympathy that you're trying to defend yourself, you're going to get charged. That's just the law in it, and it has to be equally put across. And I don't think case Dhamma, I do think it's two-tier. I do think it's a two-tier system, in my opinion. I think it's just.
I think it's obvious. Yeah, but I came across something recently. I'll put it in the back that Black Lives Matter did. What they did to get more justice within the police, and some can argue that there was a level of racism within the police. What they did was they collated events where they believed they were treated unfairly.
Yeah.
I've got it here. I'll put it in the back so you can see it. I actually did a live stream the other day saying that I actually think that it's time that the British community of all walks, it doesn't matter what your heritage is, if you're born on the soil and you're British, or whether you're adopted in and you feel that you're not being treated the same as one subculture, because we can see two-tier policing going on now. I think that we should do exactly the same thing and correlate our stuff and get ready for anybody that's being taken to court and it's unfair. Because when I sit, let me get the private chat and put it in there for you. When I sit and see, okay, those two Muslims in Manchester, the two brothers that were, let me put it there. Well, yeah, there it is.
Basically, beat up the officer, right?
Yeah. When I see them trying to be victims and the media, the media ran along with it. They pushed it. They wanted.
Oh yeah, that was another situation. I think that kind of like broke the camel's back.
Why did it break the camel's back?
Who else is coming on, Manny? Don't make too many people. Man. Who is this?
It's somebody called Sukhdeep.
Oh God,
Sukhdeep, do you want to introduce yourself?
Do you know him?
Hello, my name is Sukhdeep.
Yeah,
I think
Scotland.
he might. I
Okay.
think he might be a bit of a troll.
Why would
Okay,
you say that? Why would you say
I've had you on my stream, and
I've never spoken to you before.
that's a lie.
Yeah, you have. Okay, continue, guys. Sorry.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, what I was saying is that I think that now we need to collate together and do some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people actually they rush to judgment very hastily, particularly in the
that's
first couple of days of
Okay,
the
it's
incident.
gone.
And I think that what you
We can't hear you.
Yeah, go on, Eunice. You've cut off.
That's the government. They cut off Yunus, the only Muslim voice. How racist of us! Islamophobia. God, it was us. We did it, innit? We didn't.
So yeah, anyway, so I wanted to double down on this point. I do think that we need to collate and get reasonable and start gathering together evidence to defend people that are going through a two-tier system, to put pressure on the police to be fair. We're not asking for them to give special measures for white people or for British people or for non-Muslims, but we want to be treated exactly the same. There does seem to be, and it's visual now, not just visual, there's merit behind it. We can see behind it that there is actually, hold on, sorry.
Hector is persistent.
Yeah, no, it's his phone. He's gone out and left the phone here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that
it might be his girlfriend, Jeeves.
Yeah.
No, I don't worry about all that. My ex is faithful. He's a lovely man.
The thing is that I think, you know, like, I foreshadowed a lot of this like years ago. I remember I kept on saying it, that you guys don't understand this, a tinderbox. I remember I kept on saying that, you know, you haven't seen the real far right, and they haven't. They're gonna start seeing it. They're gonna really.
Well, I think we saw some elements.
Yeah, I'm talking about years ago. I'm talking about years ago when
yeah. I think we saw.
And I've seen people that were relatively reasonable, and then when I've seen their comments and stuff and something, they are becoming radicalized. And what's happening is that because I think a lot of people are not being allowed to speak, and what's happening, they're getting into an echo chamber, then they get into their own little group, then it gets smaller and smaller, and then next thing you know, you've got, you know, somebody that is agreeing with some of the most outrageous kind of resolutions to what, you know, the issues are, right? Like, you know, deporting mass people and all of this kind of stuff, and violence, right? And I think this is just going to get bigger. I think the far right is loving this. They're going to get bigger because the government is calling everybody that turn up to these any of these protests or anything like far right. Imagine you just come to protest and then it all kicked off.
Well, what happened outside Downing Street, I didn't agree with. I've said it on the record. I didn't agree with what happened there to innocent people, and I do feel there was a level of a setup there. But that's beside the point. There's heaps of people in this country now that are not far right. They might be on the right. They might be conservatives, but that doesn't make them extremists. And we've got a very successful bunch of idiots called Hope Not Hate and the left that all work together to try and make everybody that votes right or a right-leaning or a traditionalist appear to be extreme racists that don't like people of colour. That is not the problem. The problem is that we've got a massive culture clash in our country, and that it's predominantly coming from one area. There are mild elements from all of the other cultures, but it's majorly coming from one area, and people are turning away and shutting their eyes and acting like they can't see it, and it's become
but you also need to
massive elephant in the room.
Yeah, but the thing is, you also have to kind of target what the problem is, right? And the thing is, I've realized, so when I grew up, like I said before, I'm going to say it again, there was no such thing as, like, you know, religion and stuff. You know, everybody at my school, and there was a lot of Pakistani Muslims and black people and white people, we never spoke about religion. It's only in the 90s. Let me tell you what happened to me. I basically had no issue with Muslims. All my mates are Muslims, everybody, and I grew up in an area which is a lot of Muslim. I then had to go to a different area for my A-levels. I went to another area, and guess who was there? Majid Nawaz.
Oh, God.
I'd never had any problems with Muslims, right? I then set up a Sikh society with a friend. And you know Hizb ut-Tahrir? Have you heard of Hizb ut-Tahrir? They're now kind of I think they're a banned organization now. Oh, look at that. God, the old Raj feels like a different person, man. So they used to come into my Sikh society meetings just heckling us. They wouldn't let us do anything, right? So that's the first time in the 90s I started realizing something was wrong. Then that same year, a black Christian guy got stabbed in the heart and he died, right? And Majid Nawaz talks about that when he gives like talks and stuff, and that kind of didn't stop him from being radical. But that's when I started seeing it happening in the 90s, right? This radicalization. Now I've been told that it was from, you know, the Saudis and stuff like that, and they kind of started to kind of infiltrate UK colleges and all this kind of stuff. But prior to that, there was such a thing as a integrated Muslim community, in my opinion, because I saw it. They were living basically what they were doing.
I believe so as well, Raj. Because
basically what they were doing, they were still practicing their religion. I remember them doing Eid. They used to do everything. They wouldn't eat this. They wouldn't eat that. But they were still integrated. I never felt like this group was separate from another group. And this is what's happened now, in my opinion. It feels like the generation, the third generation, are less integrated than their parents' parents, which is pretty shocking, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think that there's been a little bit of design done here to divide the communities. I think that a lot of the policies that think tanks thought were going to unite. I mean, one of these things in the back, the thing that I dropped in the back, you can quite clearly see that while it's standing up for the rights of people, it's actually pushed the policing away from particularly policing properly in one area, but going heavy on another area to placate and overcompensate, rather than actually just level up the way that you treat people. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when I look around to how I grew up, Raj, and how you grew up, we're age mates, roughly the same age. I'm a bit older, I think, but you know, religion was never discussed, but then neither was politics that much. The most that you would hear of politics is maybe your elders when they were watching political shows, and as you're growing up, you're like, oh God, that's boring. I'm going upstairs. I'm going out to play. I'm going round my mate's house. You know, it was never something that was discussed as it is now by youngsters right up to the old. And as you know, as you get older, you mature a bit. You go through cycles of life, which actually gives you a better learning curve, a better understanding. And I think part of the problem is that we've got useless idiots that are stirring up and stoking up these racial tensions because they want to be seen as good people. But actually, they're very, very nasty and spiteful to good British people. Because to brand everybody that could see a pattern of behaviour, okay, of the rising levels of violence against women and children, and say enough is enough, and it might be due to cultural differences or the mindsets that we're creating in Britain, to tell people that they can't speak about that when that absolutely needs to be spoken about. And the two-tier policies that have come out of activism of the past, and it's gone in the wrong direction. Overcompensation. I liken it to what's happened with the women's movements, by the way. You know, when they first stood up, they wanted equality. They got equality, and then for some reason, these women's groups wanted to keep fighting until in the end they become man haters. It was like, whoa, what's going on here? You're not now asking for quality. You just want to have this bogeyman of men. Just
I mean, you can be pushed to the nth degree in it. Like, so somebody could be a rational feminist and then become like a feminazi. And look, who's Raj? Oh God, I can't believe this. Oh yeah, I will say that Wendy is, in my opinion, if she believes that no brown person can become the prime minister, is a racist and the far right. I'm sorry, that's straight up in it. Like, if you want me to be a productive member of this country, then I should be allowed to be able to go to the top if I wanted to. Now, if you're saying I can't, then I'm sorry. There's no point in me doing anything. And
we definitely would like Raj as prime minister.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and the other thing is, we should also say this to Muslims as well, because like, if you keep telling Muslims you can't be British, then what's going to happen? They're going to just give up in it and say, okay, they don't accept us, and then they'll get into their own little ghettos and they'll be like, okay, we can't be British, so what's the point of trying? So there's a real balancing it now, because I've seen with my own eyes that it can work. Because what was the difference between when I was growing up and now? The only thing I can think is maybe that, you know, the generation that I was growing up with, they were just concentrating on making money and trying to get through in it. And then what's happened is this generation, this third generation, because things are more easier for them, they've gone back to their religion, which is fine. But when a Hindu becomes more religious, you don't hear about it. When a Sikh becomes more religious, you might see it, but you don't really hear about it. But when a Muslim becomes more religious, you hear about it, right? Because everywhere you go, there's Dawa stalls as well, right? And I have no issue with that. But I'm not joking. I go to Stratford and there's Dawa stalls all the time, right? And then there's Christians there now shouting at the Dawa stall. They all look mad, in my opinion. They all look mad because the Dawa stalls are there. basically saying that Jesus is, we believe in Jesus, then the Christians have to come out to defend it. You understand? It's like this recipe for disaster. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't preach or do Dawah and stuff like that or evangelize, but there's a time and place, right? In my opinion, it's just gone overboard, like, you know, and it just causes tensions as well, dude. It just causes tensions between people.
Yeah, I don't think it's just that. I think that what's happened recently is very dangerous. I think that those people that are antagonists have felt empowered. And, you know, we haven't got balanced media. We haven't. We've got sectarian media now, and even in the alternative media, because it's all become very tribalistic. I think a lot of the propagandizing that's going on is terrible. You know, the way they label people, mislabel people, and to try and strike fear into people that they can't speak.
Yeah, I think, you know, all those protests that were supposed to happen, the 100, I think they were fake, and basically the government wanted to kind of like, you know, get the masses out and have this kind of PR. Okay, look, we don't stand for racism, blah blah blah. And so, because there was one that happened in Walthamstow down the road from me, right? And no one turned up from the far right, or the alleged far right. No one turned up, but there was
those protests were put out by the left. And do you know what else was put out by that horrible Nick Knowles, or Knowles, whatever his surname is? He put out that an Asian woman had been splashed by acid, and then had to double back on it, admit that he lied and made it up, and that he apologized for it. But no one seems to be holding him accountable, and they should be, because can you imagine how that would whip up the Asian community if they thought that was true?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but the thing is, you also have to understand, and I'm trying to be fair, right? If I'm in an area which is basically predominantly people from my own background, and then I hear that a group of another group is coming, it doesn't matter what group it is, to cause harm, as men, you're gonna get riled up in it. And so what's happening is like it's like, you know, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Like, you know, the people are coming, and the next thing you know, the people on the other end are then kind of thinking, and the prophecy is that basically it's going to go to civil war in it. But it's going to happen because people are whipping each other up. No one.
But he also admitted that he put the lists out and that it was fake.
Yeah, I can imagine
that as well. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, look, what I've realized about, and I said this to someone before, I can't remember who it was. I said, you know, that with the right, the reason why I respect the right more is because sometimes they know what they're doing is like not necessarily moral. And you have to understand what I'm saying. Like, they know sometimes what they're doing is not necessarily moral, but they might do it. The problem with the left, the far left, they think everything they're doing is moral, even though it's immoral.
Yeah.
So so they're like so goody two shoes. It's like an angel, which is really a demon, right? At least with a demon, you can see what you're getting. With these guys on the far left, they will go to the nth degree of, like, I'm talking about like real dangerous, evil stuff. But in their eyes, is justified because the people that they're attacking, or the people that they're against, are the bad guys, isn't it? They don't see themselves as being the bad guys as well sometimes. Do you understand?
Well, I think they create these bogeymen with I don't think that they always stand on righteousness because of the funding they get. And I think that this is part of the problem, Raj. It's like if you've built your whole career around fighting for something, and then you finally get what you're fighting for, like equality for women in all those years back, and you finally get equality for women, but the funds are going to dry up because there's no need to keep fighting for it. And then you get to a position where, well, let's create a new bogeyman so that we can keep fighting and having funds. This is what they've done. This is what Hope Not Hate have done. And this is why they contrive these factions and put out false statements and put the communities against each other. And until I see, right, I'm not against some of the incitement to violence that was put out there, right? I think, yeah, okay, you want to come down on that. You want to go through some people's social medias, and if you see any incitement to
if
violence,
someone writes,
that's good.
So if someone goes, go burn the detention center, they should be locked up in it. Now, if someone just says, okay, those people in those detention centers, what are they doing there? Now, you may disagree with that, but that shouldn't be
I agree.
That could be convicted.
I agree.
Right? It's an incitement of violence because somebody could have died easily
Yeah.
in that thing, and there's kids in there. Whether you agree with why they're there, they shouldn't be put into that kind of like fear and danger.
Yeah, but Nick Knowles putting that out and saying, "Oh, there was acid thrown over an Asian woman," is incitement to violence, but not directly, because they're hoping to stir up that particular community to commit violence against outsiders of that. Community.
I mean, look, one of the stupidest things I saw here is when they like Keisha said about attacking the mosque. Like, any reasonable person coming to the conclusion because 3 kids were killed in another area, they're going to then attack the mosque, even if the person was a Muslim, is just deranged. Yeah, and those people need to be locked up in it, because like you should have some kind of like, you know, like limits in it. Like, okay,
yeah, but no, like, I don't know anybody that agrees with that being attacked. Nobody agreed with that.
Dude, there would be people that agree. Trust me, there will be people that are okay. That place of worship.
Oh, there will be some, but I don't know.
It will be a minority. I think the majority of the British people, like, you know, would condemn that and are not racist. But what you're going to start doing is, you know, that majority of British people are not racist. You're going to start making that into a minority, yeah, and the majority will become racist because you're not allowing them to vent their what I call kind of grievances. Some of them may be unreasonable. Some of them might be reasonable, right? Like, you know, some of the stuff I heard was like, these guys, people are lunatics, isn't it? You know, like, give us back our country. I know, but and the thing is, that's fine, isn't it? You want to say give back your country, that's fine, isn't it? But like, you can't blame everybody that's coming over like for taking your country in it. You have to also understand there are people here that will genuinely bring here, like my family and other people that can contribute to the UK as well, innit? You need to just weed out the bad actors, the people that need to be kind of like, you know, like deported or thingy. But that doesn't mean everyone.
100% agree. But the problem that we've got, Raj, if there was a problem with the Sikh community, right, and there was a pattern of behaviour and we called it out, they wouldn't mind us calling that out. And
you should.
Oh, no, hold on. They would say, oh, there's community tensions between these two groups of people, and maybe we need to look at the underlying causes and we should find solutions. But there's one community that you are not allowed to criticise in any way, shape, or form before they make it an issue. I mean, look at anti-Semitism, right? We all understand that you can't go around saying the Jews this, the Jews that, but we can look at scripture if we want to and criticise it, and you cannot be put in jail for criticising that scripture.
Well, this is the thing. This is why the Islamophobia stuff is a problem.
Yes, equally with Islam. If you go around saying, oh, I can't stand Muslim people, I can't stand this, that, and the other, that's different. But if you're actually criticising the Islamic religion and saying, look, I don't like these scriptures, it don't quite add up for me, and I don't like Islam because of that reason, you should be able to, without being told that you're Islamophobic.
I had the same issue at Speaker's Corner, right? If you really listen to what I said, I never said anything about the Prophet. I never said anything derogatory, really. All I said was I disagree with certain things, innit? Like ideas. Now, what this is when I say I don't think Muslims generally have self-awareness. So I'll give an example. If someone said to me at Speaker's Corner, they said to me, oh, Ultra, how you doing? So somebody said to me at Speaker's Corner, right? I don't agree with Sikhs carrying the Quran, you know, the sword. I didn't suddenly go, you're a Sikhophobe, you're a Sikhophobe. I said, all right, why? And they gave me a reason, right? And I was like, okay, I disagree, and I moved on in it. Now, the problem is, what I realized, when you criticize anything to do with Islam, it then becomes you're attacking them as a person. And I think maybe that's a situation where religion is such a core. I think maybe we can't understand, right? Because I can kind of separate myself in different compartments. You know, I'm Raj, I'm a human being, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Punjabi, I'm British. Do you understand? I don't think a lot of Muslims are very religious. They take the religion so seriously that it becomes part of them. So anything you say about it is a attack on them as an individual. This is what I realized. So when someone says to me, Raj, I think, you know, wearing a turban, what's the point of wearing a turban? I say, this is the reason. Yeah. I don't take it as an attack on me or my gurus or my thingy. Whereas when I said, I remember going once, I said, I don't think eating meat is right. I've been a vegetarian all my life. I was a vegan for a bit, went a bit mental, like one of those Nazi vegans. And I remember saying, I don't agree with eating meat. Yeah. And I think out of all of the meat, I think I'm against kosher meat. I'm against the halal. And I'm also, I'm going to try and do a second part to this, or maybe on Friday if Manny's ready. I don't know if he's ready, or maybe on the weekend. So I think we got more to talk about, because I've got to go in like 20 minutes. So basically, so when I said that, I said, listen here, and some guy went crazy. Said, you're against halal, mate. I said, listen here, I'm against eating all meat. Why are you taking it personally? He could only hear the halal. Yeah, I said, I think, and I even said to him, I think factory farming is worse than halal meat in terms of the cruelty.
Yeah, but Raj, this is what I don't understand, right? Because when a Muslim says that they don't eat pork, I don't get offended on behalf of the pig or anything like that. I don't sit there and go, well, you should eat pork because British people eat pork. No, I don't care. If you don't want to eat pork, you don't want to eat pork.
Yeah.
So why should they get upset if we say that we don't want halal meat, because that's not our beliefs? And to us, it's almost like having a blessing from something that we don't believe in.
But in Sikhism, but this is even what, like, you can say that you don't like it, but in Sikhi, in my religion, it says outrightly, you cannot eat ritualized slaughtered meat, and it mentions halal. So but you don't see Sikhs kicking up a fuss, do you? Or you're forcing us to eat. What do you know? What we do? We just eat the vegetarian option. If someone eats meat, do you understand the difference? We don't kick up a fuss, and we could do if we wanted to. We could kick up a fuss and say, look, you're forcing our kids to eat this, and now they can't eat meat. But we'll just say, okay, we'll just eat the alternative. And it's the thing that you have to. Oh God, you have to be able to understand that, you know, you can't have your way all the time, right? You just can't. Sometimes you have to just sit back and go, okay, we can't win this fight, and let's just compromise a bit. That doesn't mean you compromise your beliefs. You understand? It doesn't mean you compromise. It just means that, okay, don't rattle what I call the status quo, because you're going to start annoying people. Yeah. Example with like dogs. Like dogs. Like I've seen. I think my sister had a situation, right? And before I say your sister, no, my sister has no issues with Muslims. She was taking a dog out, and a Muslim couple got kind of annoyed with her, innit, because the dog kept on running. Yeah. Normally, when the dogs run, everybody loves them. They cuddle them. They got angry, innit. Said, why don't you put it on a leash, innit? And this kind of my sister didn't understand, innit, why they're so upset. So I had to explain to her that the way dogs are seen to us and to the Western world is totally different in Islam, innit? So this is why she got upset. But can you see how these
why
little
would
things?
you go? I don't understand why people that would Muslim would want to go and live in a country of dog lovers. That is what British are known for.
Look, I'm going to say something that's going to upset everybody, because the standard of life is better. It's as simple as that.
But then appreciate that you're the one that needs to negotiate. Then you're the one that has to compromise, because you want a better standard of life. And in the better standard of life, there are people that actually love dogs as well as much as humans. And therefore, you have to understand that. It shouldn't be the place you're going to has to change to accommodate you when you're only going there to make yourself wealthier.
The thing is, nobody can expect a group that's immigrating over here to forget their culture, their people, where they come from, all that. You can't expect that. The same way British people go to a different country like Spain, they still got relatives in the UK. They still care what's happening here, innit? Because they got family here. And that's what people need to understand about, immigrants as well. I still care what's happening in the Punjab, not because it supersedes what's happening here, because I've got uncles and nieces and family all over there. So if it's going tits up over there, I'm going to be affected over here because I love those people, innit? And so we need to understand that we can still keep our culture. We can still keep, our kind of links to our home back home, but you need to start prioritizing here, the UK, Britain, whatever you want to call it. You need to start prioritizing it, because if you don't prioritize here, the only people that are going to be affected is your family, right? Because if things turn shit here, it's your kids that are going to suffer. It's your parents and everything. So you need to stop thinking about, oh, the Brits done this in the past and that. You can think about that. You can condemn that, but don't freaking do it to the detriment of, social cohesion. Because America, as much as I don't like America and a lot of bullshit, they freaking got it locked down when it comes to like identity of being American. Do you understand? Like everybody is an American. And they've had some of the stuff that have happened to them is so bad. And imagine an African American, they're still pro-America, even what happened to them. You understand? Chinese,
that's one thing that stood out to me. But I just want to make one more comment about the dogs first. Look, in Britain, there are British people that are not good with dogs. Some people are allergic to dogs. Some people are frightened of dogs or been bitten by a dog as a kid, and it gave them a fear. So all you have to say is, look, I'm not good with dogs, and then the owners should understand. But the minute you start going, oh, I don't like dogs because it's my religion, You're making it look like you've got to be treated that everyone who's got a dog has suddenly got to conform, and that's where the difference comes in.
Yeah, I know.
It might be the language that's expressed, and that's what I'm trying to say.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I should be the PR man for Muslims, because I don't think they've got self-awareness. They don't understand how to communicate. Okay, you don't like this particular thing because it's against your religion, but it doesn't mean you have to force everybody else in order to conform to that. You should be able to do, like, I think the Sikhs haven't got it perfect. I think the Hindus have got it locked down, like on a next level. Like, you don't never hear about Hindu problem, apart from a couple of years ago with the issues with Muslims up in Leicester, and that you should still be able to have your identity, and then but still be able to, you know, merge that with being British.
Of course, but in the past,
the thing is, Jim, I know we did, but the thing is, Jim, if all I was a Punjabi Sikh, what do I have in common with you then, apart from being a human being, obviously, and all that?
Yeah, not a lot. Yeah,
as a country, some people, because I have nothing else. So when you have people running on one, so when you have people running, like, one of the things that pissed me off, like I said before, is that you have people basically for a genuine cause. Like, everyone knows I support Israel, but I don't support the genocide in Palestine. I can have that view. Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm against Jews. I just think what's happening over there is totally unacceptable, but I still support Palestine, Israel and Palestine being a two-state solution. But when you're then running...
Yeah, but don't say that, because, but you've got the privilege of saying that, and I don't mean this rude, but it's because you've got brown skin.
Yeah.
Because I've said exactly the same thing, and I've been hauled over the coals for it. I've said it's none of my business. I don't want to get involved in it. I think two-state solution would be the best idea, but I prioritise my own country.
No, yeah. I mean, so I'm not. What I'm saying, it's like, all right. So I've said, I'm going to have to give the example again. Punjab, there's a lot of problems there, right? I want a separate state for the people that live there, but I shouldn't. If I then went as an MP or a councillor, and I'm then shouting, I'm going to be here for the people of the Punjab. I'm here to give them justice. Like, what do you think people are going to think? Just think about it. Think about it. Be self-aware, innit? Like, why can you not see going around having a one policy about Palestine, even though it's a just cause, that is going to piss people off when they see people shouting from the rooftops, we've now come into power and we're going to save the Palestinians. Even if your cause is right, you cannot put that above the policies and what's best for the people of the UK. That comes first, and the people in your area also come first, not the people in Palestine. They can come second.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
And that's my position, Raj, because I think if we can't look after our own children here and make them safe in Britain, how the hell are we supposed to help anybody else?
Is that Carnito, Fatty Bum Bum? That's not the real Carnito.
Yes. But one thing
maybe he can come on the pack. You know what, Manny? I think because like I'm gonna have to go in like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Maybe we can do as part 2, and we can have like a limited panel open to certain people that I can say. I might let Carnito. He can be quite sensitive. I think Turkish people are integrated pretty well, don't you think?
Most Turkish are. I don't know about Khan.
What's some Kafars, man? Dude, the amount of
pedantic at times, isn't it?
Dude, the amount of Turkish people I met, I thought were Greek, and they're behaving like proper Kafars. Yeah, big up to the Kafar. We run.
Listen. One of my best friends when I was much younger, one of my neighbours, you know, I was in and out of her house for years. I still talk to her on and off now, but she's sort of like moves on in life in a different direction. But we do bump into each other occasionally and have phone calls. She was Turkish. You know, I don't understand where all this tribalism has sprung up. Well,
no, I've said it before.
I think it's been created.
No, what it is, this is now. It always seems like I'm attacking the Pakistanis. Yeah? Big up to the Pakistan. I like my Pakistani brothers, but you do a lot of foolery, man. A lot of madness. What it is about them is that because they got this kind of chip on their shoulder from the Indian subcontinent, and it's going to be hard for you to understand, they overcompensate. So when you go Speaker's Corner, right, you know the people that dress like Arabs are not Arabs. Guess who it is? The Pakistanis.
Mental.
So what it is, they want to be more Arab than an Arab. When you meet Turkish people, they just look normal, innit? I mean, I've met loads of people over there, and none of them overcompensate. The only group that I've seen is converts, obviously, and also Pakistanis. They generally like go around like they're in the Middle East, right? Like, and then when you meet the Arab people, I'm like, dude, like these people are wearing Western clothes. So I just think that they kind of like overcompensate and become over religious, become over kind of like, you know, kind of like, you know, the inward thinking. Yeah, they're not thinking outwards and become less kind of self-aware about how their actions are affecting people around them, innit? Like, I don't think they can understand, like, you know, if you do X, Y, Z, it's going to start irritating your neighbors, innit? Like Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab are the two worst Dawa people, in my opinion.
Oh, I think so. By a long shot, yeah.
And they got the most followers, man. Got the most followers. Like I met one of Shamsi's a Dawa guy in Stratford, and he's a really cool dude, man. Like when you see him, he looks scary, innit? He looks scary, but he's a wicked dude, innit? Like you can't judge a book by because he wears all black, like I used to. He's got like a long beard and stuff like that. But he's such a sensible guy. He's one of the guys that kind of made me change my mind about certain things in it about Islam and stuff like that. So, but with Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab, I think they reinforce the bad stereotypes, in my opinion. Yeah, they actually add to the problem, add fuel to the fire and stuff, because they think that, you know, in my opinion, they think that they're kind of doing good, but they're doing freaking a lot of damage by the kind of, because it's got so much reach as well, and everyone knows kind of like, you know, who they are and stuff, even non-Muslims and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're gonna have to end it in like 10 minutes. What I'll do is it's up to Manny, innit? We can do a second part.
Let's do a second part. Let's increase the tempo a little bit. Let's get people on the panel.
Definitely.
And,
so I've got like 10 minutes more. But the thing is there anything else you want to kind of ask me, or does people want to ask me questions?
No, I wanted to ask your opinion when you see, because from a British point of view, I wondered if you see it from the same point of view. Yeah. From a British point of view, when I see Hope Not Hate and all those people that came out for the so-called 100 protests that never was, and you see the kind of people that are standing there, including the British people, you know, that are born here, as well as obviously people that have come in and adopted this country. There was not one British flag; it was all Palestinian flag.
Yeah, this is another thing that was very like you hit the nail on the head, right? Imagine you're looking at a counter protest, and the flag that's being flown is a Palestinian flag. Just think of the optics. If I was part of that movement, right, what I would do is I'd be like, okay, listen, you can have some Palestinian flag, but let's put the Union Jack out so we reclaim it. And so we are the voice of the British people, right? Instead, there was not a single one. And when I saw it, it was like LGBTQ flags, big up to them anyway, do what you want to do. I'm not into that kind of stuff. And then you see all this other stuff, and then like, this is why when I said about America, right? America's a complete basket case in every other way. But when it comes to that identity, everybody, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Mexican, anyone I talk to, they were pro-America first, right? They were pro-America, but they condemn what they did. So I'd ask, I remember asking, like, you know, this Chinese guy, you know that, you know, when they built the railways, they literally use you like slave labor, like, you know, like a slave labor. They said, oh yes, that's what happened then, but, you know, we have to, you know, move forward in that. And this is what the people of the UK need to do now. There's a lot of people in the UK, and let me just say something very clearly to people: no one's going nowhere that is legally here. Yeah, it's just not happening, innit?
Obviously.
We're not going to get to, most British people are not going to allow it to get to the stage where people are being rounded up and deported, right? Now, the crazies that are that small percentage that want to do it, those people need to be clamped down on and got rid of, in jails or whatever they need to do. But the average British person who has a genuine concern about things going forwards and what's the country's going to look like in 50 years. My problem is I think about what things are going to look like in 100 years, isn't it? And to me, it looks like a disaster. I'm glad I'm going to be dead and I've got no kids.
Think it's going to be a disaster in 5 years if we don't learn to talk and rational, without all the trolling, without all the nonsense, without trying to trigger people. People, do you know what I think is wrong, Raj? There's a lot of people that want to engage in the conversation but don't want to actually listen.
Yeah. A lot of people are like that. I can be like that as well. But I learned, like, that as much as, you know, a lot of things that speakers call, I don't, you know, look back and like, why did I do that? But you know what? If I didn't do it, I wouldn't learn. So many things I learned, innit? I went to Al Quds March, which was like, and I spoke to both sides, real Israelis and real Palestinian people, and not just people on thinking. And I learned a lot. And this is when I realized, when I went there, that there's no solution to the Israeli-Palestinian situation, because it's such a mess in it. It's religion mixed in it.
The only way that get resolved is when the Palestinians and the Israelis agree to sit down together to resolve it. I don't think no amount of outside pressure will change the resilience
There's a
of those
whole
two groups of
religious
people.
component to it that people don't
Yes.
understand. Yeah, once you understand a religious component, then you understand why it's such a difficult thing. So my brother-in-law said to me, "Oh, it's just like Northern Ireland. You know, I said, it's nothing like Northern Ireland. You know, you had Protestants and Catholics, but there was no religious land. Northern Ireland isn't a religious land. In where obviously Jerusalem has all of the three major faiths, basically all of their religious places, and every single one has a end of time prophecy, which is gonna basically include Jerusalem and what happens over there. And this is why you have people that are very irrational. But like I said, I've said to you, like, I've got a Jewish friend who's an artist. I said, listen there, you know I'm pro-Israel, but you got to remove yourself from the West Bank. The Jews have to go from the West Bank. They can't be in. You can't expect to start taking people's homes and stuff like that, and then settling in a place and expect the people there just go, okay, we're just going to say it. You're gonna cause. It's going to cause. That doesn't mean that I agree with any violence, because I don't. But I also don't agree with the way that I hate Netanyahu, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's done more harm for Jewish people and Israel than anybody else. He's caused more anti-Semitism, because there's people that I never even thought would be saying things. I've heard things. I'm like, dude, and that's because of him, innit? Because of his policy of what he's doing. But that doesn't mean that Israel and what's happening in Palestine should supersede what's best for the UK, right?
I agree, and I'm tired of every time people bring up the rising levels of violence and the extra vulnerability upon children and women in this country, that all we get is, well, what about all the kids dying in Palestine?
Yeah,
that's
I know,
not what we're talking about. It's mental.
It's about, what's aboutism, isn't it? It's like, okay, so one thing happens here, one thing happens over there, but you can't be outraged by both. Why not? I can be outraged about, kids being killed in Palestine. I can be outraged about kids being killed here, innit? Like, they're both wrong, innit? Like, the two things can be wrong, and you can condemn both, innit? So I think people, the problem is here, one thing I realized, people are too entrenched in their own views, innit? And I've been humbled a lot of times, man. I've been humbled a lot. And I think that's because, when you got a camera shoved in your face and then you have to watch the videos back. I watched some of my videos back and I'm like, what the hell am I talking about, innit? And I'm like, okay, I was wrong then, innit? And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I can admit it and I can change my view on that. But a lot of people can't do that.
I think we've all had to do that a bit. I've done it as well. But there's
I think all of us have grown a lot, innit?
Yeah.
I'm nowhere. If I'm being honest with you, I look at some of the videos and I don't think I could do that again, because I don't have that mindset. Yeah.
But do you think we were deliberately pushed into? Because I do feel that a lot of the people like Respect and the people that was around him actually went out of their way to cajole, mock, lie, propagandize, and push you into a defensive position. Sometimes defending stuff that you actually don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give an example, right? All right, so in 2017, I'd come back from the States in 2006, and I started seeing, okay, remember that? And then the terrorist attacks happened, and then all the grooming cases, and one of my relatives had been groomed years ago, that brought back memories. And I remember going to Speaker's Corner just to kind of have a look in it, because I got quite addicted to Speaker's Corner. And I think I never went there to talk, but I then was put in a situation where I said one thing that kind of like, changed my life, when I said, I'd rather live in a Christian country than a Muslim country, right? Yeah, that's what I said. And that just went all tits up over that. So then I was then in a situation where, because I was being attacked so much and I was by myself, I was forced into certain positions. I'll give you an example. I never said I agreed with Tommy Robinson and everything. Do you know how that happened? I had a conversation with somebody and I remember saying something, yeah, he's right on this, he's right on the grooming, he's right on extremism, he's right. And then I was called Tommy Robinson. I didn't give the name to myself. So I'm like a type of person, that I've realized over years that just take the name and just run with it, innit? Because then it takes the power out. It's like the pigeon thing. People call me pigeon, yeah, I'm a pigeon, I'm going to shit on your head. So I took the name Tommy Robinson. When people said, you're Tommy Robinson, I said, yeah, I am Tommy Robinson. Now that then went to a situation where people thought I was wholeheartedly a blind follower of Tommy Robinson, and people realized pretty quickly that knew Tommy Robinson, I wasn't. Because a lot of things I didn't agree with. And then over time, I started realizing myself, and I said that to you, I think I said it to you in a couple of panels, that there's a lot of blind followers. Now, the way someone...
I would agree with that.
The way someone will foul is if you only have yes people around them. And I started seeing that there's too many yes people around Tommy Robinson. Then I started going, okay, I personally believe that he's good at highlighting issues, and I said this years ago, but he's not good at resolving. So it's like you can talk about something and highlight it. But how are you going to resolve it? And he hasn't got none of those things. So that's when
Are you aware though, Raj, that in recent weeks he's been speaking about, well, months actually, he's been speaking about that as a collective. I don't know who the collective is. I think it might be Richard Inman, that new bloke, Andrew Thorpe or Andy Thorpe, whatever his name is, and a few others. That as a collective they were doing some think tanking, and that they were going around taking reactions off of people, finding out what was the 5 most important things, and that he has put videos out saying that they've been working on that in the background, trying to
Tommy Robinson,
find a way forward.
But Jupiter, you need to understand, you need to realize your limitations, right? When I'm with a paramedic, I don't start trying to, talk about stuff that they know more than me. Tommy Robinson has a limit to what he can do. He's very good at highlighting issues, but I've seen, because I've not, in the whole years that I've kind of been around this, I've not heard of any like concrete resolutions, like reasonable resolutions.
What he's saying is that in the background that they have been doing this, and this was before all this stuff kicked off. This was all to do with the last 2 rallies and that. He was promoting that and saying
which
that
was very good. I mean, the rallies were all peaceful.
Yeah,
went quite ones in the week after.
Let me land. So he has been saying that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to agree with everything he comes out with, because he hasn't brought it out yet. But if he is working in the background with other people and trying to find a blueprint of how they want to go forward, what they want to promote, because he believes that the key is to uphold British culture, but he wants to stop the white guilt of white people feeling so bad about themselves because of the wokeism and everything else. It'd be interesting to see what he puts forward. I do think that. I don't think that Tommy's job really is going to be the person that implements it or whatever, but I do think that as a representative from the working class, that he still galvanizes a lot of people, Raj. There's nobody else that can galvanize the people united, and believe me, at this time British people do need to be galvanized.
I agree. He can still. People are good at certain things, right? I'm good at highlighting issues. I don't think I'm good at resolving issues. And I know the box I'm in, right? And so somebody else, I actually, the reason why I kind of stood by the Tommy Robinson movement for so long, because I'm going to be honest with you, there were certain things I didn't like in it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to say what. It was only because of Richard Inman. Richard Inman is a
you can say it, Raj, because I criticise Tommy as well.
Richard Inman was somebody that every time I met him, he was just, I never felt, and none of people, they're all raised now. I never felt anything from that dude, but there were 1 or 2 people I did when I walked around. I was like, okay. And I wasn't naive. I was never naive enough to think that the whole of Tommy Robinson, I even said to you last time, I think it's around 15 to 10% that probably have some sort of thing, but the majority of people that go towards him are, I think, and I'm going to leave it on a bombshell, innit, because I need to go, but we'll talk about this, innit, the niqab, because I think this is still something that I think is problematic. And I know people go, Raj, you reckon is Islamophobe? Listen here, I have no problem with people covering themselves, the head and stuff like that. My people in my own kind of faith do that as well. If you go to a gurdwara or just generally, even people in my own family cover their head and stuff. It's out of modesty. Even if you look at old UK videos, just look at them. Women were covering their heads. Now there's a difference between that and covering your whole face. Because I think that's another barrier to integration. Because if you're walking down the road, and because one way you can ingratiate yourself with somebody is just to look at them or smile at them, innit? And if you can't do that, and all you've got is your face covered, I'm sorry, you can't build a cohesive society. This is why, do you know what's so weird? In a lot of Muslim countries, they ban the niqab, not the hijab. The hijab is just covering your head, which is fine. They actually banned it. Why have they banned it in Muslim countries? But when people want to say there's a problem here, they then up in arms that they're Islamophobic. Do you understand?
Okay, guys.
We'll leave it, and then
good time to leave it. And we're going to do a part 2 soon.
Friday. You know what would be good, Manny? If you could, even if it was only like twice a month or something, hold these sort of streams where people.
If it's very controlled, because
it's got very uncontrollable elsewhere.
No, I'm saying it's kind of topic about this. I think this is such an important topic that this is why I've kind of dusted off the cobwebs and thought, okay, even though I've been because the thing is this situation doesn't just affect You know me, like although I'm barren, I've got no kids. And everyone says you've got no kids, right? And I haven't. Thank God I haven't. I
don't know if you're barren. Do you know for a fact that you're barren?
I think I might be.
Okay, guys, look.
Can I just say one thing? So because of that, but the thing is, I still got nephews and nieces, right? So they're going to be affected by whatever happens, and I love them, innit? So I think we'll do one.
Exactly.
What day do you want to do it for, Manny? Friday?
Let's discuss it via text.
Okay. Anyway, then thank you everyone for listening, and big up to everybody. Big up Jupiter.
Big up Raj.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Manny.
Yes, okay. I did send a message.
And keep going.
I will, man. I will. It's just been a bit of a tough couple of weeks and a couple of months. So yeah, but this has kind of woken me up a bit. Anyway, take care, everybody, man. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Bye. Much love, audience. Bye.
Well, everybody seemed to came to watch Raj. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching. Part 2 coming soon.
They can do whatever they want, but we have to pretend that they're the victims. They harassed this brother.
Killer.
They harassed him. And because I stood up for him, I was the one in the wrong. All I did was argue that this brother can film in the park. And for that, my mother was insulted. And have any of the Muslims brought that guy or challenged him for insulting my mother? No, he was stood right there. But because I insult their prophet, then they're offended. But ladies and gentlemen, they, ladies and gentlemen who come to this park, insult the Christian faith week after week when they mock the Trinity, when they mock the Incarnation. So when they do it, it's okay. But when we do it, we're doing something wrong. I was told that I have to apologize, but the Muslim was not told to apologize for harassing this gentleman, for insulting my mother. I was the one that was attacked. How much more evidence must you see, ladies and gentlemen, before you grow a spine and stand up to these Islamist bullies? Before you grow a spine and realize, just as Israel is proving right now, the Islamists can be beaten. Because we all know that Israel is going to win that war. And if the Islamists can be beaten as they were in Iraq and Syria, as they are being beaten in Gaza, then they can also be beaten in the United Kingdom. But it requires, ladies and gentlemen, it requires you to find your spine right now. It requires you to organize, to mobilize, to train, and to resist in every way, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions on any topic? Thank you very much, brother. Are you all right, bro? Sorry?